Because I thought you would have, maybe.
Yeah. Just woke up.
Done, son. Yeah, King Chalk Entertainment. Here we go. If you haven't already, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check us live and become a part of the show on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube Wednesday and Thursday at 11 p.m. and Friday and Saturday at 1 a.m. Central Standard Time. Yeah. While you're playing the game, working out, cleaning, or whatever, check out the more refined audio versions of the show on Spotify, Apple, Anchor, and more. Keyword King Chaka ENT. Yeah. Shouts out to Pat, Doc, Deuce, Curtis, Brendan, Elliott, Juanita, Jay Lethal, Tariq, my Twitch follower, Francisco, and others for always supporting the channel. Yeah. Race, spirituality, politics. Let's talk about it. We generate interest into what has happened and what is happening in our world, therefore creating activists. Let's go. Dale gas, baby. Hey.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi.
Yo, KC, you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
Well, I'm riding around town bumping shit that can
Bingo,
feel.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
And we gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something
KC,
now.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
What? Riding around town bumping shit that can
Bingo,
feel.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
And we gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something
Look,
now.
I'm sipping Bacardi, visualizing on the farm Ferrari.
Catch a buzz from the life that we store in the party.
My swag immaculate, kicking this rap shit till I'm 40.
It's like electricity, just float through your
Being
body.
easy with breezes and winding down and out, baby, I'm sorry.
Switch the game, change it up, falling off now hard.
Picture me rolling Maserati with some hoes in the back.
Switching lanes, taking pictures with a bitch in my lap.
Clap your hands, everybody, if you feel this shit.
KC,
Bingo,
on the mic,
and that's it.
take a trip down south that we call the Abyss.
I'm most curious about my silver Air Force.
And we receiving major paper from multiple sources.
Of course, it's the bosses that handle the business.
Spice the game a little bit, cause the flavor diminished.
Like Kane and Old Dog, we society's menace.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
KC,
Bingo, knocking at your door. Yeah, it is again. Let's go, KC, you the shit this year.
yeah, I'm the shit this year.
What? I'm riding around town, bumping shit that can feel.
You the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
And we gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something
KC,
now.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
What? Riding around town, bumping shit that can
Bingo, you
feel.
the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
And we gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something now. Attack the track like a lion, cause I'm so ferocious. When the wind blow, I fly, cause my image on posters. It be wise to decide to not try to approach us. Get burnt like bread when it's stuck in the toaster. And you hoes like clothes, I told you I fold you. In the mornings I have Folgers with my doja. I suppose it's time to smell the roses. Clear my mind, check the snakes is close.
And peep my status, but stamina, swagging on niggas just amateurs. Style stay funky than cannabis. It's scandalous the way these bitches try to handle us. It's city ball to ball swords in my Polaroid camera. I want my niggas on the propaganda. Welcome to this extravaganza. Hennessy, sipping weed, smoking enhancer. Even though we know that way to go is not the answer, I won't chance the opportunity to blow this shit. Take a shot at the target and I'm not gon' miss. Kicking, flipping, splitting, rip these rap niggas to bits. Let's go, KC, you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
What? I'm riding around town, bumping shit that can
Bingo,
feel.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
And we gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something
KC,
now.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
What? Riding around town, bumping shit that can
Bingo,
feel.
you the shit this year.
Yeah, I'm the shit this year.
And we gon' keep it moving, grooving, give you something now. Yeah,
like that. I like
your
that,
hands
y'all.
up.
Like that. Like that.
yeah.
Like that, y'all. Like
Hit it with the whip of all
like
back,
that, y'all. Like that, y'all. Like that, y'all.
Here it is.
Like
KC,
that,
King
y'all.
Chaka.
your boots on. We finna march. We finna march. It's time to march. Strap your boots on. We finna march. We finna march. It's time to march. It's better to gun, never to run. So here we come. So here we come to sever the lung. Meticulous to the letter. Ridiculous think you ever get with this lyricist. I really think I'll be feeling this shit forever. Gotta get my shit together, regardless of the weather. And if I think my mental's clever, smoking a switcher, sweet on leather. The niggas can't keep me tethered. I'll fuck around, pull the levers. Hot while you niggas wearing sweaters. And they got people in place wherever. I really wanna shake the ladder. Or maybe it makes me smarter. Really it makes me harder. Make me better to raise my daughter. You people gon' check the order. How many wanna be a martyr? How many is getting larger? Any respect the father. Strap your boots on. We finna march. We finna march. It's time to march. Strap your boots on. We finna march. We finna march. It's time to march. Live slide, situation, faces and names. Live slide, catching cases, chasing them games. Why you gotta kill for 15 seconds of fame? And why I keep it real but still expecting to change? Why do I feel like redirecting my pain? Smiling while I'm saying to myself I'm insane. Hating for your health, you can't help but be lame. Obsessed with the wealth and it's melting your brain. I done heard them discussions about cases and planes, and I done seen repercussions. I ain't touching the game. Choose the pictures you like, we just making the frame. You can have a light, but we taking the flame. Strap your boots on, we finna march. We finna march, it's time to march. Strap your boots on, we finna march. We finna march, it's time to march.
It's better to gun, never to run. Either way, bow to the righteous ones. I'm a soldier, dressed in fatigue, until up my boots ain't scared of no one. Ready for war, even if I'm sleep. Waking up, busting these niggas on sight. I'm shining like a motherfucker, even the blind can see the light. Y'all think I'm ready, but we come with the heat that make y'all do it again. Remain the same as we keep it real. The format bitch niggas could never win. And I'm always ready to attack, making sure that you ain't coming back. Even these bitches don't get no slag when these boots are fucking black. Nickel.
One more, y'all.
Man, why the hell this house ain't clean, man? Where the food at? Hey, man. Oh my God.
Been working all day.
Dang. Private numbers on the phone.
And it make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
It make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And it make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And that make me wonder.
Private numbers on the phone.
And it make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
And it make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And it make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And that make me wonder.
I told my girl to try new things, talk, but she say she ain't into that.
Mine's is into that, she all on the internet.
What you mean, MySpace?
Hell yeah, MySpace. Think she wanna trip when it's chicks in my face.
Blah, 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 etc., etc.
You ain't gon' find nobody better.
But her girlfriend's telling her
She's a princess.
but Chuck, I love her. Should I come to my senses?
Pussy whoop, that vagina got you senseless.
No, Chuck, I'm just saying, I'm coming home to new.
Man, I need a blunt, matter of fact, twist two of them.
She say that house dirty, so I blame it on the poodle.
Ain't clean the bathroom in weeks.
And she won't get pissed off when it's piss on the seat. Private numbers on the phone.
And that make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
And that make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And that make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And that make me wonder.
Private numbers on the phone.
And it make me wonder.
No meal when I'm home.
And it make me wonder.
And you don't even want a bone.
And that make me wonder.
The wrong name when you moan.
And that make me wonder. Tossing in the bed, strange thoughts in my head.
What you think, she cheating?
Nah, I don't know, I ain't give her a reason.
Every time I go to mine's office, her boss just leaving.
Breathing and wheezing like she got asthma.
She just got 3 raises and a brand new plasma.
Mine spend all my money at garage sales.
I was thinking about marriage, buying a ring from Zales.
Why she need $100 just to do her nails?
Man, she won't even salute my little soldier.
Just don't care.
I could swear she bipolar.
She take my Escalade.
Got me driving her Nova.
She bought a 7-Up.
Man, she know I like cola.
Forgot I was born in the month of October.
Man, I'm finna go and tell her that it's over.
Man, I'm finna go and tell her that it's over.
Yes, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be. Stop, Ryan. I'm going to be working so a little late tonight, so could you go home and make sure the kids are in bed and probably have to cook yourself something to eat tonight, so. Okay. Well, until
That's what I'm talking about right there. You see that? It's a wrap. We done.
Hey, how y'all doing out there? How y'all feel? Remember, we want you to be an activist, and don't take our word for it. Look that shit up, please. Anyways, I feel good. I feel good today. You know, I was like, a lot of things are right. The only thing that's wrong is like I don't have no money, like I'm broke, y'all, And all the grinding that I do, I'm not a lazy nigga. I'm really not. And I do a lot of grinding, but the grinding I do hasn't brought me very much, monetary benefit so far. So that's just where I'm at on it. At some point, hopefully, some of this grinding I've been doing over the years, will bring me some monetary, relief, if you will. Yeah, so I want to talk a bit about the Virginia governor, new Virginia governor, because all of this kind of ties together. A lot of times I do that with my titles and subjects and topics, even though they might sound like they're all separate and shit. But there's a common theme, or what I'm saying, there's a thread that runs along them. So that's where I'm at today. So Virginia governor, the New York City mayor, damn it, I didn't take a picture of the top title and I can't read it now. So the rest of it was, I have the clips, so I know what it is. I just don't know what it is, if that makes any sense at all. I suck at remembering names and like details like that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about New York City Mayor Eric Adams. We're gonna talk about him. We're gonna talk about Glenn Youngkin. He's the governor of Virginia. Winter storms. I know I put that in the title. Winter storm, because I want to talk about that. And the hostages at the Texas synagogue. That's the other part. Yeah. So I'm not going to get into that right away. We're going to lollygag and work our way back to the topic. You know how we do, baby. I feel good again. I feel good. This guy says, "Dear men, take your 21 days leave from work. Go home and tell your woman that you lost your job. Explain further that there was some loss and you had to use your savings to settle. Spend the next days observing how you are treated at home and discover who you married." Ooh, that would be a dangerous thing to do. That would be a dangerous move, bruh. I wouldn't recommend that, actually. Comments underneath that. My wife was happy as shit and said, "We'll figure it out." I quit for real, though. Yeah. Niggas is so stupid, bro. do this before you get married. Trying to destroy lives out here. Before you get married, fam, know who you with. Sounds like a terrible idea. I got us. I'd love for mine to quit his job. I hate his job. These conversations are important as hell because sometimes you never know. The man or the woman may be working a job and they're miserable as fuck, and their mate is miserable that they're miserable because, you know what I mean? Like, they care, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you care about someone, if they're doing something that they really don't want to do and it's making them miserable, then that's going to bother you. So, but sometimes it's hard to have these conversations to be like, you know, hey, you know what I mean? Like, hey, just chill off that job for right now. And, you know, we'll just pay a more close attention to our bills. You know what I mean? Keep our bills as small as we can. You know what I mean? And you know, make some sacrifices. You know what I mean? You know, eat at home, and you know, get our entertainment at home or at other people's houses and stuff like that. Instead of spending money on that kind of stuff. And, you know, be like, okay, you know, that's cool. I'm cool. I'm actually cool with that. And then the other person can be, you know, actually looking for their creative outlet, or finding the right job or finding the right position that they could be in, and kind of take their time doing it without kind of like stressing about it. You know what I mean? And maybe actually find something that they really want to do. You know what I mean? That's more satisfying to them. And as a whole, as a couple, as a household, then y'all going to be stronger. You know what I mean? Y'all going to be happier. And so the thing is, I think what a lot of people don't understand is, like, even the kids, you know, if you're miserable, like, you know, maybe you're a single parent and you're doing a whole bunch of shit and you're working all these jobs, and you know, paying all the bills, trying to give a life to the child or children. And, you know, but you're miserable. So the thing is, you know, you feel like you're doing the right thing, you know, and in some ways you are, but you have to take care of yourself first. Because if you're miserable, then your children are going to be miserable. So they're going to grow up in a miserable environment, and that's not going to have a good impact on their growth. So is that what you really want to do? You know what I mean? You really have to think about it, because you're doing all what you're doing for the kids to have a life, but in your action of doing that, at the same time you're, you know, fucking your kids up. I can't try to find a better way of saying it, but you're fucking your fucking kids up by, you know, because like I say, and it's the same thing when you're in a relationship, because if you're miserable in a relationship, then you're hurting that other person too. You're hurting yourself and that other person. So, you know, hey, you know, something got to give, right? You know what I mean? You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing the people around you a disservice when you do that. Basically, that's my point. If that makes any sense. It's an old video. I didn't get that at all. The internet. Randomness, right? That's what we like, right? Our attention span is like 15 seconds. It's probably less than that. It's probably like 7 seconds. Something don't catch our attention within those 7 to 15 seconds, we're on to the next. And even once that does catch our attention, it can't hold it for longer than, like, I don't know, a minute, a couple minutes. If something holds your attention for 10 minutes, I don't know what that is. You know, for the average person. We're not talking about everyone. There's people out there who can focus on something, But the thing is, you have to train yourself to do that. You know what I mean? You have to, it's a skill. So you can also train yourself to not do that, to just be looking for these 15-second clips and on to the next 15-second clips. So, and the media wants, it's really about y'all convenience. That's how y'all fucking everything up. Because we mentioned it in a show yesterday about convenience stores, and Pat said like Walmart is the biggest convenience store, and and I thought about it and like, yep, that's absolutely 100% right. And also Walmart is what's fucking everything up. Not Walmart specifically, it's that model. You know what I mean? And so, yes, Walmart's fucking shit up, but I'm just saying the model, the Walmart model, is what's fucking shit up. And when I say fucking shit up, I mean like messing up the environment. Also having to do with wages and pay. Also having to do with shipping and manufacturing. All of that is connected to that model, and and then it leaks into the politics as a result. Damn it, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, it says all hostages out and safe after 10-hour Texas synagogue incident, governor says. This is a weird thing. That's why I want to talk about this, because this is a weird thing for me. Like this story, and why it's a story. I always say, why is something a story? That's the first question you need to ask yourself, because stuff happens all the time, all day, every day. But only certain things make it as a story. All right, CNN. The hostage situation at synagogue in Colleyville, Texas is over, according to Governor of Texas. Prayers answered. All hostages are out alive and safe. Governor Greg Abbott tweeted about 20 minutes after a large bang and gunfire were heard from the direction of the synagogue. The resolution came more than 10 hours after a suspect entered the congregation, Beth Israel, as the synagogue was live streaming its Sabbath morning service on Facebook. The live stream appeared to capture a part of the incident before it was removed. A rabbi was believed to be among the 4 hostages. The suspect in the hostage situation is dead. Colleyville police later confirmed at a news conference on Saturday night after the hostages were rescued. This is interesting to me. This story is very interesting. Let's see some comments. Thank God. A relief. This story didn't end badly. Sound like it didn't end goodly. Somebody died. Praise God for a happy ending. The guy died. That somebody died. Another day in Texas. Thank goodness. Praise the Lord. Okay. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Alhamdulillah. Is that it? That's literally all the comments. That cannot be true. Well, it's been 2 hours. There's no fucking way that's all the comments. Either that's all the comments, or I just don't know how to scroll this shit. CNN. Interesting stuff. Things that make you go, I don't know who needs to hear this, but there is no such thing as pre-existing conditions. It is an invention of healthcare capitalism. The rest of the world just calls it medical history. Let me read that again, because I all troubled it up. But they wrote it kind of weird too. I don't know who needs to hear this, but there's no such thing as pre-existing conditions. It's an invention of healthcare capitalism. The rest of the world just calls it medical history. Things that make you go, Let your plans be as dark and impenetrable as the night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Yeah, well, okay. Freaking, a lot of stuff, man. People be like, oh, that's deep. Okay. I'm like, okay.
What is so confusing? You said you need another restaurant. So I got you what you needed, and I got you a restaurant in Atlanta.
Anna, why would you go behind my back?
Why are you screaming?
What's gotten into you?
Relax yourself.
Anna,
You scared?
yo, y'all just did a deal behind my back.
It's a good deal.
You can't do this, Anna.
Relax. We decided. Look at me. Look at me.
What?
That all three of us are going to be in a relationship now.
The girls decided this. This is how it happens.
What are you talking about?
We love you.
What are you talking about?
Danny's going to be our partner in life now. You hear me? Come here. Come here. Relax yourself. Surprise. Relax. You should be excited. We're giving you what you want.
Sounds great to me.
Now you mad? Maybe it's okay. Bitch,
What is this from? Is there this a show?
My money to open up a restaurant? What are you talking about?
That shit, it looked fake as fuck. I ain't gonna lie. That shit looked fake. Moving on. Hello. I'd like to hire you to paint my house. Sounds great. I charge $15 an hour for my work, plus the cost of paint. I have $2. That's not even enough to buy paint. Wow, so lazy. I guess no one wants to paint my houses anymore. Guess you can call that an inside joke. Oh, I really like this guy.
Took 1 month. If that was the case, we'd have kept it at 1 week. How it started out. Shit, it might have just been one day. Matter of fact, it might have just been a moment. Motherfucker had a chance to even think about it. Might have, maybe I could. Nope. Talk themselves out of it. So it's amazing to where we're going to go from a month to a year. No, how about all the motherfucking time? How about fuck just the history, the present, and the future? Oh my goodness. Guess what? We're going to outlive the Matrix. We was before the Matrix. We're going to be after the Matrix. We're going to be hereafter. In the hereafter, it's going to be heaven. It's going to be a golden era. Because guess what? That's our indigenous ways. Do you know what they call the golden era? The way we used to live before they got to us. Right. All them dark ages. Man, listen, that was all the stuff they created that wasn't healthy. No, because look, we was keeping it right for thousands, maybe millions of years. And then what? Just the past 2,000 has been tragic. Man, it ain't going to take us long to fix it. We okay? Black future, y'all. You know, a lot of times people think black history should just be limited to 1 month. If that was the case, we'd have kept it at 1 week. How it started out. Shit, it might have just been one day. Matter of fact, it might have just been a moment. Motherfucker had a chance to even think about it. Might have, maybe I could. Nope. Talk themselves out of it. So it's amazing to where we're going to go from a month to a year. No, how about all the motherfucking time? How about fuck just the history, the present, and the future? Oh my goodness. Guess what? We're going to outlive the Matrix. We was before the Matrix. We're going to be after the Matrix. We're going to be hereafter. In the hereafter, it's going to be heaven. It's going to be a golden era. Because guess what? That's our indigenous ways. Do you know what they call the golden era? The way we used to live before they got to us. Right. All them dark ages. Man, listen, that was all the stuff they created that wasn't healthy. No, because look, we was keeping it right for thousands, maybe millions of years. And then what? Just the past 2,000 has been tragic. Man, it ain't going to take us long to fix it. We okay? Black future, y'all.
Very interesting. Real growth starts when you're tired of your own ignorance. I don't think that happens a lot. I think people bathe in it. They shower in it. They love it. It's like a volcanic eruption. What is this? Let's see. Here's another video of Tonga eruption. The Tonga Geological Service. The scale of this thing is just absurd. Keep your eyes peeled for volcanic lightning. Volcanic lightning. I stopped explaining myself when I realized people only understand from their level of perception. And that's pretty good advice, I would say. Brother Ben X. He done came a long way, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I kind of been following him the whole time. But I feel like he done sold out. I feel like it's all about money. And also, you know, whenever you limit yourself within one religion, it's okay. It's really okay. But and you champion it the way some people do, you know, I think that it limits your thinking, you know. So, and that's how you end up being all about the money and not about the community. And that's the trap that everybody falls into. Because it should be about the community. Because if you're all super religious like that, whether you're Muslim or Christian, your book, it says you're supposed to look out for those without. And you're not supposed to hoard, and all that shit is in there. So, but that's exactly what we do, and we make excuses for it. And then we make our money dishonestly too. That's another part of it, the whole thing, you know. I feel like, you know, how you made your money matters, okay? Some dude, but y'all don't care. Nobody cares. They pay their bill and that's it. So nobody cares. But how you know that guy didn't just scam, rob, and kill or whatever? And he could have done that shit to you or your neighbors or your friends or whoever. And he don't give a fuck about shit. And he's sitting there next to you at the restaurant, in the bar, at the hotel, and y'all chopping it up. Like, got a nice ass car out there. What do you do for a living? I'm in investments. Okay. So, I don't know. Like I say, I feel like how you made your money matters. And, you know, if you did it in a super grimy ass way, then that shit shows your character. And it also shows that you don't care about people really. Am I gonna get away with playing this? Or am I gonna get in trouble?
Shit, I break it, step into my zone.
I'm not gonna play that. I might come around to the topic soon. I'm trying to wait for somebody to get in here. Maybe text some people. I came on late today. It's the last show of the week, though. So people need to come out. I don't know why. Oh, it's because I've been scrolling. Let me stop scrolling. Oh, we got somebody. What up, Deuce?
Oh shoot, man, not much, man. Sitting here just laying down here for the night. What's going on?
Shit, same old, man. How you feel?
Pretty good, pretty good. A little tired, but pretty good. Pretty good. How about yourself, bro?
I feel good. Did you catch any
That's what's
news?
up.
You was driving all day.
No. I'm off, man. I'm here at the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was off. Yeah, I was off yesterday and today.
That's what's up.
Yeah, got back in yesterday and hung out with the wife and the kids and hung out today as well with them, man. So rather pretty little weathered, but you know, we do what we gotta do.
Uh-huh. What's up, Pat?
What's the deal? What's the deal?
Hey, what's going on, Pat? How you doing, man?
Say, Deuce, doing all right, man?
Oh yeah, hanging in.
Yep.
Enjoying this last little day off.
Oh, you been off?
Yeah, I got in yesterday. I was off yesterday and today, and then I'll be leaving. Oh, actually, today is Sunday, so I was out. Got in Friday. I was out Friday, Saturday. So um, be leaving later on this evening, man, for my 6-day tour.
Okay. Shoot, I might. I look like. Well, I'll have most of the day off tomorrow once I deliver this load and kind of sit back and see how things go with this weather.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. So how has it? You've been missing it so far, huh?
Oh yeah, it's all clear all day yesterday, and I think it's supposed to sweep around. I mean, I don't know when it's exactly supposed to start. I know they're saying that they're, well, somebody was telling me that they were supposed to shut off some of the freeways after 2:30 p.m. tomorrow.
Mm. Where?
I get, well, I think up here, um, in Pennsylvania somewhere.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm assuming it would need to be more than just that because of the direction in which it's coming through. But
Yeah, but the good thing is up there they kind of know how to deal with snow and ice.
yeah, well, I mean, once I drop this load tomorrow, I just once I get parked, that's it. I'm just gonna sit back and see how everything go. You know, you remember on The Color Purple when Celie cooked for Suge. It said she took the food in there. She just kind of wouldn't look behind. She didn't know what color the walls was gonna be. I'm gonna just go get
Yeah,
parked. Go get parked
and
and
see
just
what
wait.
happens.
Just see how. Yep. See how it turn out.
I feel you.
Yeah, well, it's cold in a bitch in Houston right now, and I was
Man,
thinking,
this ain't cold, bro. Well, it's cold for
Yeah.
the folks. It's cold
Yeah.
for the folks of Houston,
yeah,
but
yeah, it's
I'm
cold.
from Houston. Well, been
It's
here a
Hey,
long time, but this ain't nothing like what they getting in the Midwest and the Northeast and the up
shit. I
around
hit.
North and South Dakota and
I'm in Pennsylvania now. Before I laid down a little while ago, it was at like 9 degrees. I haven't looked at it since I've been up, you know.
damn
But
9 degrees. That's without a wind chill.
no, yeah, that's just a temp. That's not calculating the wind chill. And best believe that wind is whipping.
That's
man,
that
that's
hot.
how it is down here right now, man. But God, man, that's it's like
That's
being
that
up there in
hawk.
Kansas. It's like being up there in Kansas and Chicago and Indiana, man, where you don't have anything blocking that wind, man. That wind hit, and
And
bro,
that's
like that wind chill make it like if it's 9 degrees with the wind chill, it probably feel like it's a -6, -7 outdoors because the wind chill.
freeze your nose or lips right the fuck up.
Man,
Oh,
I stopped to get fuel, and man, I was cussing the whole time because I'm like, fuck, fuck, fuck. The wind was just blowing straight through me.
and well, I wanted to say because the weather today made me think about the homeless people out there, because it's really, really cold. I mean, for us in Houston, I'm sure it's cold enough for a homeless person to lose their life out there tonight. So, you know, just thoughts out to them. Hopefully, they find somewhere warm to get to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too, man. I go downtown quite a bit, the wife and I, and man, I've been noticing there's been a lot more homeless. But I guess there's like an organization that donates these tents as well as these tarps for them to put over their tents, to keep that wind from coming in. And they got blankets, and so I mean, I don't know if it's one person. I mean, they're these big tents, so I mean, it may be 3, 4 people to a tent. You know what I'm saying? Or at least 2 to 3. If it's 2 to 3, or let's say like 4 people that actually get along with each other to a tent, you know, you got that tarp. I'm not saying that it's great conditions,
But I'm
but
saying
if
that might
but
not
if
be good
they're
enough this kind of weather right here.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it may not be great conditions, you know what I'm saying? But if you got 4 people in the tent that's bundled up, they probably got them a little fire going somewhere around them. You know,
Yeah.
believe it or not, man, it's actually something that I learned in winter safety training, man.
Build a
Like they were
fire.
telling us, like if you ever got stuck out somewhere and it's you know, a few drivers, you know, they get stuck out somewhere, you know, y'all wrap up in some blankets and keep your water in the center of you, like put it like in the center around you guys. Just the warmth of you guys breathing will actually keep the water from freezing. You know, I know it don't sound like much,
Yeah.
but you know, I mean, this can be bad, bro, especially for folks that's down here that's used to this kind of weather. But man, I'll tell you, I go to KC, Kansas City, Missouri a lot because we have a plant up there that we take liquid hydrogen up there and fill their tank. And I was up there week before last when they had that negative. Matter of fact, I was on the podcast, man, when it was snowing and I was delivering out there. It was -6 in Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh
And
Lord.
bro, the homeless were right outside of our plant, dude, in the little brush over there. You know what I'm saying? In tents, and I'm like, -6 temperatures, bro. Like I was complaining just standing out there unloading, man, and these guys got to sleep in this shit the rest of the night. You know what I'm saying?
Shit, that should be a night that they inside a church with heat.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Somewhere, or at least inside of a building where you really not catching all that fucking wind.
Man, I'll be like, Mama, I'm sorry, whatever I did. I'll leave tomorrow. Can I come and stay tonight? I don't
Yeah.
know.
The
Somewhere.
wind and the snow, because everything gets wet. So that's another thing. So you talking about them bundling up, nigga? If it's snowing or sleeting, how they keeping they shit dry? And
Man,
once they
they
get
Well, if
wet,
they're inside, if they're inside their tent with a tarp, it kind of it stays dry in their tent. You know, I mean,
they need some
when I went,
insulated. They need some insulated clothes that's gonna, uh,
yeah,
you know, some. I forget what they call the stuff, but
yeah,
um,
the thermal wear, like the bib overalls, the insulated jackets, the double insulated jackets, and stuff like that.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I had when I was out there offloading the double insulated. I had my hoodie on, my FR hoodie. Then I had my fire retardant double insulated jacket. You know, my jeans, my boots and shit like that. So you know,
because once you get
it's
wet,
rough, bro.
you out of there, right? If you out,
Well, I mean, you can, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. I mean, the only way you'll really get wet in snow, bro, like you literally, like, I mean, like most of the time, like you're not gonna just get wet in snow. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
unless you're just standing in it and you're standing and walking in it. You know what I'm saying? But if it's cold, cold, you know what I'm saying? That snow is sticking. It's gonna stick to whatever when it's that cold. It's gonna stick. It's not gonna melt at that point.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So, but nah, you're not gonna get wet like if it's raining or some shit like that. You know?
yeah. I just wanted to mention that, thoughts out to the ones that's out there. Get somewhere warm, get somewhere
Yeah, man.
dry.
It's rough, bro. It's rough, man. It's definitely rough. I would advise any of them that's out there, man, seek shelter, get into these shelters that allow you to come in for the night to at least get out of the adverse, temperatures and things of that nature. But man, I used to be a part of this ministry group, man, and we used to feed the homeless, in downtown Houston, right there underneath the Piers elevator before Momentum BMW of downtown Houston took over underneath the Piers elevated. And man, you have a lot of them, bro. They don't want to go to those shelters at night, man, because they still want to be able to be out and have their freedom and do what the fuck they want to do,
Yeah.
So
Man, and a lot of them
we've
say
witnessed that too.
they're not. They say they don't feel safe there. They say it's dangerous there and it's dirty and all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is dangerous because, believe it or not, the homeless have rivalry. You know what I'm saying? they
Yeah.
they got rivalry, bro. So, you know, somebody that you may have been, you may have took some food from, may be in that shelter, and he see you, he or she gonna get at you.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things, and uh, also with a lot of the homeless, there's a lot of mental health
Yeah.
involved with that too. You know what I'm saying? So there's a
Yeah.
lot that goes and that takes place, and so
And
I
then
can
what happens?
understand where they're coming from.
And then what happens to your mental health when you're out there? But I think that it's because as a society, we haven't dealt with our mental health problem. So it just compounds the homeless problem because we just like, instead of dealing with these people, we just let them roam around in, the- in the streets.
Yeah, yeah. My biggest thing is like truly, like how do you truly come back? Like how do you truly go about that as far as like the homeless? You know what I'm saying? Because, and the reason I say that is because there's so many organizations, there's so many ministries. You know what I'm saying? The city and the government gives so much money to these nonprofit organizations to get out there and to give supplies to homeless and shelter and things of this nature. And it's like, how do you truly go about that? You know what I'm saying? Because like out here, I mean, where I live at, but if I go a few miles north on 45 into Houston and South Houston and all of that, you see a lot of homeless over that way. And to be honest with you, man, a lot of the majority of them out there, bro, are like, young people. Like on this side, from what I see, a lot of them are young dudes, young females. You know what I'm saying? And they get out and they do their thing throughout the day. But man, real talk, like a lot of them they don't even want the help, bro. Like I remember going and and trying to pass out food and supplies, and they was like, "Hey, bro, if you ain't coming through here with some money, we don't want no food. We don't want no blankets." Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I remember that. Like,
I think the simple answer to your question is you put them into homes. We're supposed to be the richest country in the world. We should have no homeless. There should be zero homeless people. We should have
yeah,
systems in place. I feel like as a society, it's a reflection of failure because we shouldn't let no one fall that far. There should be systems in place to keep people from falling that far.
yeah,
No one should be homeless. You got children out there that's homeless, like literally, like with no parents and
hmm
living on the streets because the
yeah,
system doesn't have enough, like it doesn't work properly. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think more so it doesn't work properly because they have enough. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we live in a capitalistic society. They have enough. you know, but they also have a lot of deception too, you know, and realistically, we would like to see the homeless off the streets and in proper housing and things of that nature, you know. But you know, I mean, I think it's a, you know, just, you know, when you take the good Samaritan, or, you know, the good side out of it, you know, you sit back and you look at it. Okay, we can give them proper housing and this and that. But what if we give them that and none of them decide to do anything? You know, none of them decide to do anything, decide to go to work or do this or do that to,
They got
you know, like
programs that show
how do we
success.
continue to? I mean,
So,
I'm
but
sure, I know there is. I'm just saying, like, you know, within a city, you feel me? Like within a city, like let's say if the city of Houston was able to round up all of the homeless, put them in proper housing and things of that nature to get them off the streets and, you know, into a, you know, like their actual home where they're not actually in the facility, or, you know, stuff like that. And let's just say they decide not to work or decide not to, you feel me? Like, how do we go about
we have to
paying
have,
for that, continue to funding that, you know?
regardless, we have to figure out a way, you know, as a civilized society, we have to find a way to deal with it. There's countries around the world that don't have no homeless. Doc says, I spent time amongst them both as real homeless person and then later hanging out with my son, who is one of many, many, many who chooses to call it living home free, thinking they are out of the system as they drain public resources and drink and drug their way into believing their own bullshit. I think he's kind of like agreeing with what you're saying. Let me play a little bit of this right here.
The number of Americans living without homes, in shelters, or on the streets continues to rise at an alarming rate. Judy Woodruff has this report on why that is and what more can be done to prevent it.
Homelessness often gets extra attention during the holiday season, of course, but the problem has grown year-round, particularly in many cities. Estimates show that as many as 500,000 people are homeless in the U.S. on any given night. Nan Roman is the CEO of the National Alliance to End Homelessness, and she joins me now. Nan Roman, thank you for joining us. And full disclosure, I serve on the board of the Alliance. But first, let me ask you, how serious is the homelessness problem in this country compared to a few years ago?
Well, the problem of homelessness has been getting worse in this country compared to a few years ago. From 2007 to 2016, it had been going down pretty steadily every year. Starting in 2016, it's been creeping up every year, including this year, as far as we know.
And do you understand why that is?
I think it's largely due to the lack of affordable housing and housing getting more expensive, and also what people earn purchasing less housing.
And is that due to federal policy, state policy? What would you ascribe it to?
It's due to the market to some degree. I mean, we really don't have an adequate supply of housing in the U.S. anymore. We're about 5 million units short of having an adequate supply of housing overall. And in the affordable housing category, it's even worse. We're about 7 million units short of enough affordable housing for all of the low-income households that need it. And that really is the driver around homelessness.
And do you have a sense, we were just talking about this, of how COVID has affected people's ability to be in a home?
You know, it's sort of a mixed bag. I think on the one hand, a lot of the benefits that have been coming to people in terms of the child tax credit, the income tax credits, the boost in unemployment insurance and so forth have given people resources, and the eviction moratorium, I should also mention, have given people resources or protected them so that they didn't become homeless. Our data isn't so good because some of the counts for the past 2 years have been stopped because of COVID. But we also see in some populations that it looks like there's an increase. There appears to be an increase in unsheltered homelessness, for example, whereas family homelessness is down, we think.
and I saw that I believe you were saying that more than a third of those who are homeless are completely unsheltered. They don't have any place, or don't go anywhere, don't have a place to go.
That's right. So the homelessness system is basically just not large enough for the problem to help people who are homeless. And 39% of people who are homeless don't even have a shelter bed. So they're living on the streets and encampments, vehicles, places not meant for human habitation.
Nan Roman, you were also telling me that there was a good amount of money that was allocated to address housing the homeless in the legislation that was passed because of COVID, the American Rescue Plan, the CARES Act, and you were saying not all that money has been spent. Why not? Can you give us a sense of what's happening there?
I think there are a couple reasons. There was about $14 billion between the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan Act, specifically targeted to people who are homeless. Some of the issues around it being slow have to do with just the ability of the sector to absorb it, staffs being low, the hiring, the same sorts of things you hear about businesses. That's also happening in government and nonprofit sectors. And so many resources flowing into communities have made it a little bit difficult for them to get the money out.
Is that an argument that more
sounds
federal
like
money
bullshit.
right now, that many of these communities are just not equipped to handle it?
I think the communities are equipped to handle it, but not probably quite as fast as we might hope they could handle it. Still, these resources are so critical. And as I said, they really are. This is a once in a lifetime injection.
Okay. I know I'm putting you out of sleep. You there, Deuce?
Yeah, I'm here. Now, I don't know, bro. Like I said, I don't know that you wouldn't put me to sleep. I was actually listening to that. But I feel like, they leave out, the main thing. Yeah, this money may be allocated for the home, and I don't want to sound insensitive because I know what it is to be homeless. I've been there before, but in order for this to keep progressing, that takes tax dollars. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say, like, there's a certain amount that's willing to go into these facilities, and they need a hand up. Not every homeless out there is looking for a handout. They're looking for a hand up. They're looking to get some stability in their life and get to a place, somewhere stable home, where that's one less thing they have to worry about. And then from there, it's like, okay, they're willing to go to work. They're willing to do this. They're willing to do that. They're willing to pay their fair share and put things in to help the next person up. But you also have a lot out there that just don't want. They live that way because they don't want the rules. You know what I'm saying? They prefer to be out on the street, to be able to do whatever it is they do, whatever hustles they have, whatever things that, and to me, like, listening to that, it sounds like pure bullshit. It's like, okay, you guys say that all of these funds haven't been used, and there's still money here,
Yeah, so what the fuck? What the fuck are y'all doing? Where's the money?
That's where I say, it goes back to, I feel like, this is just my opinion. I don't know this to be, I feel like it's a fact, but this is my opinion. I feel like that's where it goes back to that we live in a capitalistic society, and there's deception in a capitalistic society. You're never going to get 100% of the truth. And I think that's what it boils down to, bro. Like, they're not just putting that money out there.
Yeah.
Well,
they're not putting that money out there. My bad.
No, what it was sounding more like to me is that like with the different programs that are available, like and I don't know, I could have missed the real point there, but it just seemed like what they were saying was like as far as being able to distribute any of the funds through some of the organizations that's already available is, you know, hard to do because there's not a lot of people that's there to, you know, like they're
Absorb it.
losing. Yeah, they don't have people in these what is it, the nonprofits that's, you know, I guess out able to help the people, you know what I'm saying, or help to
Like
distribute those funds in a way that's really, you know,
basically saying we don't have systems in place to you know to do this sort of thing.
pretty much. But in a lot of cases, some of these people choose, like, they choose to be where they are, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if you can really help that somebody. You know, you find housing for somebody. I'm sure there's plenty of people that wish they had the housing, and but there's some that's just gonna be like, oh, you know, they get the housing, they say, oh, this is nice, this is great, but then, you
I
know,
don't
they
think it's
don't they
true. I don't think it's
that
true. I think that's a narrative because there's countries out there that don't have no homeless people. So
okay.
I mean,
I
but
mean,
how do we truly know
but that's the
that they
thing. I
don't have
mean,
any homeless?
you
they
see,
have the numbers.
you think in a utopia a lot of times in what you think it could or should or what it should be, but you got to realize that, you know, we have a group of people in this country that's like no other, you know, like that's in some of these other countries. Yeah, they don't. Some of them they get forced. Yeah, we catch your ass back out here again. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
it's illegal to sleep on the street and shit like that. Like,
Okay,
but
so
but they
but
give
when
them a
you're in a
place to
country
be.
like America where it's you have the freedom to be where you want to be, you're choosing to be on the streets in a lot of cases when maybe there was some you know, something provided for you, but you felt lost because you are too closed in the home that you had, so you go back out on the street. That like that type of scenario happens as well,
Yeah, I'm
you
sure
know.
there's some cases like that. I'm just saying, like we, I feel like there
Shit,
should
not
be
some.
none. I
There's a
feel like
lot.
there
There's
should
a
be a
lot of
system in
cases out
place
there.
there should be a
But
system in place to deal with that kind of thing. That's how I
yeah, I
feel.
mean, but at the end of the day, if there's a system in place that says, okay, they're going to force these folks to be off the street, they're going to force these folks to stay within this home, this housing facility, they're going to force these folks to go to work and pay their fair share, then that's not really being America. That's not really being the land of the free, because now you're forcing somebody against their free will to do something that they don't want to do. You know, they prefer to live under the radar. They prefer to live homeless. They prefer to live off of, you know, like, hey, you know what? You know, I'm good with these donations and these people coming out giving me supplies. I'm good if I get sick. I just walk into the
There's
hospitals and downtown, and they have to treat me no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'll be
I'm
honest with you,
sure
man.
there's a percentage, but I bet you it's small. I would think that that's a small percentage of them that will be like that. And also that means that's a
I
mental
would
health.
say, man,
That will be a
I would
mental
say,
that's a mental health issue. So that needs to
I
be
would
dealt with
say
in that way.
there may be, I mean, in some regions, some areas of the country, there may be a small percentage of that. But I would be willing to say here in Houston and Texas, because I mean, bro, like around here, like you can get an efficiency for fairly cheap. There's a lot of programs to get people into these different little efficiencies, like on the north side, on the south side, where they pay little to no money. You know,
Yeah.
there's different programs. There's NACA. There's all of these different programs. If
Nah.
you pose a disability,
People
that you can get a what they call it a FDA loan. It's an approved USDA loan that you can get that you pose a disability where the government will supplement over 35% of your payment. It will drop your interest down no matter what your credit is, no matter what your job is, no matter what your income is. It will drop it down to a 1% interest rate, and the government is subsidizing over 35% of your mortgage on a monthly basis. So that's pretty much nothing what you would pay a month. And then on top of that, you have a disability. You know what I'm saying? So there's more funding, there's more money, there's things in place. And I'm not saying that every homeless
my
person
argument,
has.
even if all that is true, my argument is still that like they're creating the conditions for homeless people by, you know, a lot of people have roommates. I have a roommate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's like the wages that people are getting paid and the amount that it costs to live in a decent place, you know what I'm saying, is crazy. Like, I remember one apartment I was applying for, and it was like 3 times what was it? 3 times the income.
Yeah, you have to make three times the income in order to be approved for the apartment.
Yeah. So anyway, so those and then it was something else on top of that. I can't remember. Anyways, those numbers get crazy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what I'm saying is these are barriers to get people, keep people from being able to move into decent living spaces.
Well, man, that's not necessarily true, bro. That's not necessarily true, because I have a friend of mine that's into that helps people, and my sister is pretty she's kind of a little advocate in that area. There's low income apartments around Houston that are in nice areas. And when I say nice areas, I'm talking about as nice as Pearland, that if you make a certain amount, like your rent is subsidized. And this is not even being a part of housing. This is just you don't make 3 times the rent, but you need a place to live, but you have a steady income, and they reduce the rate of your rent. There's apartments that won't allow for somebody like me that wish I could live somewhere cheaper like that, because these are income-based apartments that are for people that only make, $500 or $600 every couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'd have to be working a super trash ass job and you struggling to live if they give you some kind of program like that.
I mean, but it's still a good program for people that can't necessarily, for people that's what they're doing, like that's what they're making at that point in time. That's why I say, like, I can't speak for the rest of the country, you know what I'm saying, but I can speak for the southernmost part of the country. When I say, like, it's fairly there's a lot of programs in place in the southern regions of the United States that they follow the law to the T, and people are not really forced into being homeless down this way. Now you get out west, you get around the 11 western states out west, that's a little bit, California is kind of their own breed. And I think a lot of people base a lot of their homelessness off of the state of California and around, the western part of the country. But homelessness out there is kind of a fad out there. There's a lot of people that have lost their homes due to the inflation and the rise in the prices. But there's also a lot of people out west that they choose to be, what do you call those people, like free spirited or freedom flyers or whatever they call themselves, and they just kind of roam wherever, and they live off the grid, they live off the land here or there, and accept, like, it's kind of a fad out there. It's kind of a thing. Like, there's people that literally quit their jobs and go be, just kind of try, like, they literally hitchhike rides from truck drivers and people that's traveling from state to state, and they want to live wherever they want to live, like that's a thing out west. That's a literal thing. Like, that's a big fucking thing out west. So
what about the people who's working 3 jobs to pay their rent You know what I'm saying? 2, 3 jobs. These people out here living on the edge, just barely making it.
Well, I mean, but a lot of if you look at most of those cases,
Paycheck to
and I'm not
paycheck.
saying that if you look at, I'm not saying I know everything, but if you look at a lot of those cases where people are working 2 or 3 jobs to make it, to pay their bills, you look at the family size of that person, and that person is one person trying to take care of a whole family, you know, and he's got 5 or 6 kids within his family. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that he's just necessarily working just to pay rent, but hell, he's got to provide for all of these kids when he's got a stay-at-home wife. You feel me? Like, I mean, let's if you want, because and the reason I'm saying these things, because when you start presenting this shit, they're gonna get critical. They're gonna break down the numbers. They're gonna investigate the households of how many people can actually afford it, or how many people. They're gonna base it down the family size. That's why they do a census every year. That's why they knock on your door. How many people are in your household? You know what I'm saying? They're doing the numbers on this shit.
Well, you know, I think I tend to worry more about the the ones that fall more into the mental health issues, because a lot of them may not be, you may not know about some of these programs. Some of them, probably don't aren't able to assess the thoughts in which to figure out how to get it done. It's just there's more things like that that I will be concerned about, because a lot of people who may have lost a job or this, that, and the other, that has decent mental health, probably can get it worked out. Will it be immediate? Probably not, because it's a lot of loopholes on. And like, a lot of this is an assumption. I've been homeless never in my life, so I mean, I don't really know what it's like to be in that position. So I mean, I can't
But
I can't really say what exactly it is like, but the people who have mental health, I would think that it presents a bigger problem for them, because how do like, the government isn't just gonna know, well, we gotta go find this person because they fit this thing, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and
they gotta
I
go
think there
seek
was a
that
time
out.
in Houston where they just let a bunch of people out of because the program lost the funding, and they had all of these people who were in a mental health place, and they just let them out in downtown Houston. I don't know if that's a true story. That's something I heard. But
That would be some cold shit.
but
Yeah, I don't see them doing that, because I mean, in a situation like that, I think that falls under federal guidelines, especially mental health people that have the ability. That's almost like letting prisoners free, because I mean, I don't see that necessarily. I mean, it'd be fucked up if they did, but I don't see them doing something like that, because for one, most mental institutions, yeah, they may be, privately held, but they're getting government funding. You know what I'm saying? Because there's people that come within those facilities that may be under, the federal government is taking care of them, whether it be Social Security or things of that nature. So I mean, they're getting funding.
But see,
But
that's the issue. Because see, politically, those are always the programs that get cut first. Always. Whenever they start talking about a deficit or inflation or the budget, or you know what I'm saying, the deficit, any shit like that, they start looking at programs to cut. The first ones they're gonna cut are these types of programs.
yeah. I mean, like I say, bro. I mean, I don't know. I just know that, like, I don't really know, man. And like I say, I don't mean to sound insensitive, but at the same time, I think that we have to, I feel like in order to attack this this deal instead of just pointing the fingers at any one thing. I feel like we have to break it down on a case by case basis, because there's so many cases where you find the people that they just don't want help, and family members like my and I hate to broadcast this on the air, but I have to be real. My own mother, I stepped out on the limb and took some time off of work, personal time off of work to help her out, man. And it took me about a month and a half off of work to get her situated in a facility and get all of her social security stuff and get all these things set up in place, bro. And every time I get her into a place, man, after that, it was like the people would call me, hey, your mom just walked out. And I'm like, what? Why didn't y'all stop her? Oh, we can't stop her. She just walked out, like we can't stop her, and it's like at the end of the day, when I literally legit talk to her and like, hey man, what's the problem? And I don't want to be in these places, I don't want some, a lot of it comes down to they don't want somebody telling them there's rules in these facilities, there's rules in these housing programs, there's rules and guidelines you have to follow. And if there's a drug addiction that follows behind that, hey man, you test positive, you're out of there. It's a lot of things, and these folks, a lot of times they don't want to be confined to or have to follow these guidelines. They want to be free. They want to be free to do what.
I'm sure if you're homeless, you need some kind of drugs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Doc says since '93, I've been homeless 7 of those years. Help is there for people that want it, but the help is hard to get to as well. Short hours, understaffed. Some force you to pray with them or they won't help you. Some require one clean P test, then they'll help you for life. Only locations downtown are not public transit friendly. Yeah, man, once you fall that far, it's really difficult to get up because if you don't have an address, how do you get an interview? Let me change the subject a bit. Let's check this out. I'm going to try not to put you to
Revelation reporting that a main financier of the assassination of the Haitian president only got involved in the operation because he was reliably informed that it had the support of the United States. But you probably didn't hear anything about that because, well, it's Haiti, but also because the Times buried it in paragraph, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep going. Mercenaries that, by the way, had previously been trained by the United States. So to recap, Haitian prosecutors had already recommended Henri be charged, and the Times found and interviewed the alleged financier of the operation, Rodolphe Jarre, and he said that the organizers of the plot all claimed to have U.S. support. And the Times ran the claim in print, but buried it as far down as possible, giving the story a headline that made it seem like a rehash of the September news. This is one of the best examples I've seen of the paradox of the New York Times. Many of the reporters who work there are among the most talented in the world. I mean, check out how the Times reporter in Port-au-Prince, Anatoly Karmaniov, got this interview. Quote, in an extensive interview with the New York Times at an empty construction site while he was on the run from authorities, Rodolphe Jarre, a Haitian businessman and former drug trafficker, admitted helping finance and plan the plot. Shortly before the assassination, Mr. Jarre said Mr. Badiou told him that Mr. Henri would serve as a useful ally after the president was overthrown. Quote, he is my good friend. I have full control of him, Mr. Jarre recounted. He is my good friend. I have full control of him, Mr. Jarre recounted Mr. Badiou telling him when Mr. Henri, a 72-year-old neurosurgeon, was named prime minister. Now that's dogged and courageous journalism. He got the goods, and the goods wound up in paragraph 29. While the top of the story rehashed details that had already been reported in September. Jarre, however, is no longer in hiding. On Friday, he was arrested at the request of the United States.
Anyways, I don't want to put y'all to sleep. FBI informant said that the assassination on the president of Haiti had the okay from the U.S. But they're denying it by saying that this guy's a criminal or whatever, so you can't trust the word of what he's saying. But they could prove that he was an FBI informant. So anyways, I just find it interesting. Go ahead.
Well, I find that to be very intriguing because, all of the things that was surrounding the issues with the U.S. and Haiti during, like for always. But, when it came down to even, since this pandemic, and they were hell bent on, going with the jab. And then all of a sudden, it was, this thing kind of transpired. And then you have a witness or someone that's close enough to say that, they know
That they wouldn't. It's like people involved in the plot was like they wouldn't have went along with it if they, but they knew from inside source that it was U.S. Gave them the okay, the green light.
Yeah. But this man, I remember before all the actual assassination happened, that the president was on the news and he spoke about all the different solutions that they had that had been working for them already before the jab came about, and like their percentage of sick people was so low
In
to
Haiti?
where, huh?
You talk about inside Haiti?
Yeah, like
Okay, yeah.
their percentages were so low to where it didn't make sense. But and them promoting this natural process, and the medical man, some of the biggest gangsters in the world are selling these legal
Pharmaceuticals.
drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Better believe it.
they don't want it, to hear from nobody's natural uh protections or cures or anything like that. Like,
Because that's what they say what happened to Dr. Sebi. Because
and
do you think
others.
he died? Do you think they killed him? I
Well,
mean, they
it's a tough story about Sabi, because there's a lot of different actors that was close to him that didn't respond the way that they should. I mean, I don't think it was directly the U.S. government. They probably wanted to and do something to stop him, but I don't think it really had anything to do with the government. I think it was more so, or even the prison, because I mean, the way it is like from what I understand about the prisons is that they don't really feed you in those prisons over there,
yeah.
and in order for you to get
Yeah, that's what I
food,
heard too.
your family has to.
And it's cold too, right? I want
I'm
to say
sure.
it's cold. Yeah, it gets cold. So, but in history, if you're a political prisoner, they love to lock you away and have you die, in prison. It kind of keeps you from being a martyr. Because people forget about you and you die years later or whatever, and it don't be a big story.
Yeah, man.
That's
That shit
just
crazy.
something to think about. New York City Mayor, got the governor of Virginia, and freaking critical race theory, bruh, because that's how this dude got in too.
To see what
hold on.
happens with that, plea in the
home of American.
I don't want to hear his speech, but they explain it. Hold on, let me see.
The former private equity CEO is the first Republican in 12 years to take the governor's oath of office in Virginia. He replaces Democratic Governor Ralph Northam. In his first remarks as governor, Youngkin spoke on the expectations to deliver for the people of that state.
For the 73rd time in the history of Virginia, the home of American democracy, we're participating in the peaceful and orderly transfer of leadership. The will of the people grants a license to serve, a temporary license extended with trust, with hope, and with expectations to deliver on promises made.
Youngkin defeated former Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe by about 63,000 votes in November. In the final months of campaigning, Youngkin pushed education to the forefront. He vowed to expand charter schools, raise teacher pay, and restrict how history is taught in the classroom.
What part?
To dive deeper into all of this, I want to bring in Carly Haynes, who has been following the swearing-in ceremony.
Yeah, let me turn that little part back. All right.
To dive deeper into all of this, I want to bring in Carly Haynes.
Hold on.
Forefront. He vowed to expand charter schools, raise teacher pay, and restrict how history is taught in the classroom.
Restrict how history is taught in the classroom. So one more time.
Pay and restrict how history is taught in the classroom. 1,000 votes in November. In the final months of campaigning, Youngkin pushed education to the forefront. He vowed to expand charter schools, raise teacher pay, and restrict how history is taught in the classroom.
I know y'all heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. I mean, to me, it's just it's crazy that people don't want to accept the truth and hide the truth of American history so much to where it's become a political thing. Like, I mean, history is history, and what happened happened. So, like, by trying to divert, you like really instead of just being honest and continue to live a lie, is one of the reasons why. Because I mean, this thing is only going to be held up for so much longer anyway. Like, this thing is going to really fall so bad to where it's just.
But what I was saying was, I'm making a prediction that the Republicans are going to sweep the next cycle of elections, and they're going to use CRT as their tool to do that, because that's how he won. Let me read some of the comments right quick. Doc says, hold on. Hell, I can even read hobo graffiti signs. That was like 10 minutes ago. My bad for being late. Shelter to provide you with an email address. They prefer to have you come out and repent, then die of natural causes. Dying in prison is a martyrdom. I don't know, because when you die in prison, they say you die of natural causes. Like, especially if it took a long time. Restrict history can also mean not talking about the Holocaust, the true depravity of slavery, and such to fourth graders.
I would ask the question, even somebody who dies of natural causes, could it have attributed to some unnatural events?
Yeah, just like that's why I said Dr. Sebi, because I think that's what happened in his case. He had an untimely death, but they didn't kill him. They put him in a bad situation where he was unhealthy situation. He's an older guy already.
Yeah, I mean, he's an older guy. I mean, it's really cold in these prisons.
Yeah.
He, maybe stressed out behind like the reasons how he ended up there, because he just had a bunch of money on him that he just hadn't had a chance to deposit. He had done
That's
some shows, or like, I say shows, but how you go and have his lectures or whatever. So I mean, I don't think the dude was doing anything illegal, but and then $10,000 for some people is chump change. I mean, it's like that's
yeah.
just, you
But
know.
this comment, Doc, restrict history can also mean not talking about the Holocaust, the true depravity of slavery, and such to fourth graders. I don't see. Are you saying that it's a problem with fourth graders learning that particular history? Because I don't think it's a problem.
I don't
I
think it
think
is
they.
either. I think that there's always got to be tax, by on the behalf of teachers on how to teach something without it being so too graphic or too horrifying for the for the audience. But at the same time, we have to be honest. Like, we're a fucked up country because we can't face ourselves. We can't look ourselves in the eye at how, and I'm saying as a whole, as the country, that we fucked up. Like, I mean, the only way to ever get better is to accept the faults and the mistakes and change them.
Well, that's
You
not the
know,
direction we're going in. They passed a law in Virginia. There's teachers leaving out of the state of Virginia because in their curriculum, they're making them teach something that never happened. It's like a debate or something, and it's in the curriculum, and it never happened. And so some history teachers having a problem with that. And it's like history teachers are having problems teaching history in the state of Virginia because of the legislations that they've passed recently.
well, you got to think. I mean, did it happen? Did it not happen? I mean, that's some of the stuff that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's gotten so tainted now that because they've already been lying about a lot of the history. Because I mean, we talked about this before, where the people that showed up from Virginia that they call African slaves were white people.
Yeah, the history is so twisted. So Doc says, but you went to jail for your beliefs and never left. That inspires. Yeah, but if it happens slowly, it doesn't have as much impact if they just killed you. It should have been natural causes in quotation marks. I believe in restricting history to age appropriate levels. Get the overall learned then as they have the mental and emotional capability to process to dive deeper. Never lie about it, but many details appropriate for a seventh, 10th grader are not appropriate for younger children. I disagree with you on that, Doc. I think kids understand, and they go through emotional trauma too. And then us trying to baby them so much is one of the problems I think that has happened. We babied the whole last generation. Now they has to grow up, and now they some grown up as babies because they ain't fucking dealt with like adversity. They haven't had like, well, they still have these things that happen when that you don't know about as a parent, and you think you know about these altercations and stuff like that. They do but we try to put them in a bubble and keep them away from going through any kind of struggle. And I think we're doing them a disservice, when we go in at it that way, and
Well,
I
yeah.
also think that kids at young age are able to understand, complex freaking, we underestimate these children. They'll get it.
Well, and you
Yeah.
also you're also pissing these kids off because they know something is not right. I mean, just think about when we were going through school. I mean, like the ongoing question is all, it's like, how do you actually discover a place that people already live in, and by you not teaching the context in where the whole discovery, the doctrine of discovery comes from, and how this all is supposed, like, you leave people lost. So I mean, you can teach certain things about history, but when you leave out certain information, you're really, distorting and,
Yeah, you and you definitely
creating.
doing a disservice because
Yeah,
they're gonna be confused because, like he said, the context. Like how do you teach the Civil War? So then now you're gonna be making up stories or something. You're gonna be changing it in some kind of way. How do you tell the story of the Civil War without it being, you know? How do you
yeah,
how do you tell the story of the Holocaust and Hitler without it being, you know, graphic, if you will? What
yeah.
about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X? How do you tell that story? How do you tell the story of the civil rights era without it having some gore in that shit?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
just
think you
think
can.
honesty is the best policy, man. You be upfront, you be honest with you be upfront, you be honest with these kids, man, because kids are more resilient than what kids are more resilient than what they gave us credit for as children. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the lies and a lot of the fairy tales that they gave us, if you think about it, we've had to retrain ourselves and go and learn this shit on our own, and left with the feeling of, man, I've been fucking lied to my whole fucking life. My whole life I've been lied to. It's like, it just kind of makes you feel like, what were you guys protecting me from? Were because we need to know the truth. We need to know what's up, what's on, what's real and what's not.
And in
Well,
our society, we start off at the beginning telling them that Santa Claus is real and all of this shit when they're kids, and then later when they grow up, like, oh yeah, that was all bullshit.
that's
There's so
yeah.
many rituals that we have like that where we straight up lie to the kids about something, and then later on we tell them it's totally different.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to think about what kind of example you're setting as a society of, you can lie about it. You can create your own story, and you don't have to really be honest about it because, like that's what adults are doing. And but to me, I think overall a lot of it is to maintain power, because by developing a narrative that everything is okay, and just because of happenstance is why certain people get treated the way they get treated. So they, like, nobody's ever atoning for the you know the negatives that happen based on laws and policies that, well, I'm gonna go more with policies and codes that people live by, that made life worse for others, for some than others. So we're
Let me read
actually
Doc's comment. It's not about babying them, it's about introducing ideas and concepts that come with the graphic details at the time where they can actually absorb it into their worldview. It's like philosophy. You learn the foundations, then you dive deeper concepts. You're advocating similar teaching algebra before basic math. But I bet you they teach them about the Civil War in elementary school.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, if you're gonna talk about it, you can't go into it without addressing. Like, if you're gonna be like, r- you have to be honest. And if let's just say, like, the whole idea of like when you talk about the presidents that's gotten assassinated, can we actually discuss why, so that they have some context? Like, these are the people that's gonna at some point run this country, and by not have honestly seeing the faults that that as a whole, as a country, went through, like, you're setting them up for fail, for them to
And
fail again, because
and I swear, a lot of the stuff you're not gonna see the truth until you start taking like upper level courses. Anyways, once you graduate high school and start taking some kind of college courses or whatever, any post high school courses, that's when you start learning what's actually the real deal. Any fucking way.
well, Well, yeah.
every time.
And I get that. I mean, I know I was at a much older age before I could really put a lot of it together, but I think that's still because, we were
They
living a
lied.
lie. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were living of this lie of like, because, just the idea that America is the greatest country on the planet has been a lie for so long that, we foolishly go around with an attitude and we develop hate from outsiders because we're so you know programmed to go with this narrative that's false. So I mean, you got to think about like other countries grow up hating us because we're so oblivious to the truth. We're not
Yep.
honest about you know what has been happening, what's happening in the moment. Like with our news. Like I mean, we're getting lied to every day in our day-to-day news, and we're walking around like, oh yeah, no, I look, like we just know what's truly happening, but our psychology has been you know, so skewed to where we're just the biggest fools on the planet. Like, so why are we setting our futures up, our kids that's gonna, you know, be trying to make decisions for us at some point that still don't really understand the truth of what was happening during our lifetime or during our, reign of power, and now it's their turn. They end up just even worse off than we are. And we have a better understanding of everything that's going on. Like what we know, these kids should know. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to, give them some Freddie, Jason
Yeah. I
story
think
of it.
they're just fine. Their brain absorbs information just like us, and it'll be better that they learn it younger so that they can become to process this information within context of their life. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So they can
because I'm
actually see it.
overall, I mean, because for me, I would love to see America in the state of justice, where we actually have justice for all, like all of the things that we have, put on paper for what this country is. And if we continue to lie to ourselves and our children, we're never going to get to that place because these kids, if they can really see it for what it is, like they'll join together no matter what the race is, because they're like, no, like this is like these are the same mistakes that our forefathers made. I think that instead of doing this shit again, let's work out something that will actually take us further to propel us into a higher state of being. So I mean the honesty is the best policy, man.
Yeah, man. That's and I think the kids can understand. I really do. I think they can get it.
Yeah,
We
they
underestimate
definitely
them.
can. They're actually smarter than we are. There's a lot of things like some of these kids that rebel at such an early age is because they know that we're lying to them. They have these senses that they're born with that that they know, like they can sense it. They know that something's not right about what's going on, and then they're just here. They just got to deal with it. They're not in a position where they can do anything, so they are frustrated with us because we're not being honest. A bunch of fucking liars. A country of liars.
And then it's like as you grow up, then you're that's one of the things I hate, the most. And I really suck at lying because I feel like in this country we're taught to lie, like, and then you get in trouble for telling the truth because like if you admit you did, it's like it's the right thing to do to admit that you did something. But in like a situation in a setting, in a company setting or group setting or whatever, you know,
Hmm.
it wouldn't benefit you to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying?
In a lot of cases, that is so freaking true. you know, but like that's and like the whole idea, like if you speak too much truth about the government, the president, or anything, like a lot of things that we might be encountering now, you get censored. And like that's another thing that goes against our constitution. I mean, we're talking about freedom of speech, and you know s- us speaking our mind, and this, that, and the other. But as soon as you do, they exercise a right of shutting you up, or quieting your voice by some form of censorship. It's it's insane, bro. It's really I'm like I'm worried more and more because I saw it. Like I know how pissed off I was when I started being able to research things and find out things for myself, these different perspectives. And you know I don't know if these kids will be able to handle it as well as some of us, because I mean, yeah, well, I guess they're being programmed as well, but you're gonna have a bunch of kids that's pissed off because they they weren't built for this. Like their generation thinks way further than we do. Like, and they came here angry, some of them.
And the violence will come and sit in your lap. So I want to go. This is a perfect segue, I think, into this. I wanted to go into this anyway. Did y'all hear about the hostage situation in the synagogue?
Briefly, I heard something about it, but I don't really know all the details on it.
All right, check it out.
At that Colleyville synagogue, the hostage is safe. The hostage taker, he is dead. We want to go right now to a news conference from officials, Colleyville Police and the FBI.
Good evening, everybody. It's been a long day. Thank you guys for coming out and covering this. My name is Michael Miller. I'm the chief of police here in Colleyville, Texas. I'm going to give you just some an update on what happened today. We've been out here all day. This morning at about 10:41, we received a 911 call regarding a disturbance at the 6100 block of Pleasant Run, which is Congregation Beth Israel. It's our local Jewish synagogue. At that time, they were having services, and those services were being broadcast across Facebook and across Zoom. And we began to get information that a gunman had entered the synagogue and taken 4 individuals hostage. At that time, patrol resources responded to the area. We called out our SWAT team, our North Tarrant Regional SWAT team, who responded. We set up a perimeter, and we began to evacuate the houses that were in the local area. We really appreciate all of the people who were inconvenienced by us asking them to stay away from the area, but it was important for their safety. At some point in time, immediately after that, we received some backup support from North Richland Hills SWAT team. I immediately, once we heard there was a hostage situation, I called the FBI. FBI Special Agent Charge Matt DeSarno came out immediately. FBI, ATF, HSI, Texas Department of Public Safety, and all of our local partners all responded as well. We've had nothing but phenomenal support from our state, local law enforcement, and federal partners. At some point in time during the times we were negotiating with the subject for a period of time all day, constant communication with him. He did release one hostage in the middle of the incident. That hostage was not harmed, and he's doing well now. The FBI called out the hostage rescue team, which is an elite hostage rescue force out of Quantico, Virginia. They immediately when the SAC called, they got on a plane and flew out here. I think they brought 60 or 70 people from Washington, D.C. to come and help with the situation.
Wow.
Sometime around 9 p.m.
That's
today,
a lot of support.
This evening, the HRT, the hostage rescue team, breached the synagogue. They rescued the 3 hostages, and the subject is deceased. I'd like to think that this is a success.
Okay, so they killed him. But there's a aspect to this. Do they talk about it on here? Can't remember. Let me see. It's an aspect to this related to
hostages and the situation resolved was
anti-Semitism, and like, but what's crazy is that this is a story, and then the guy was saying that they was all working together with federal and local and state all quickly like that. Like, how many times does that happen? They always give each other a hard time.
quickly threatening.
So
You got to think
I'm just
about who's. Go ahead.
that's where I'm headed. That's where I'm headed. This is where I'm headed. Where I'm headed is that, not everybody gets this kind of treatment, basically. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to how the, services react to certain demographics or groups related to others. And what a lot of people don't understand is the United States, we're still very segregated. Like, we're integrated at work, but when we go home, our local area is the community that kind of looks like us. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much how it is. How and the cities are set up that way. And like I say, so the public services are also set up that way. So
Well, there's always been, protected class, those are semi-protected, and those who are unprotected. So,
my point is history, though. History explains why this is the case with this, right?
Yeah.
So in a story like this, the kids wouldn't, even adults that haven't been really taught these stories properly, don't understand, the significance of a story like this one. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying. So us lying, basically, I'm bringing it back to not being truthful with the kids. They can't understand this, and this is like, imagine if it was your kids up there at the synagogue, that night or whatever, or anywhere in the vicinity, or any family member of yours. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be scared shitless. You hope that they would come and be like, deal with those kinds of situations like that all the time in that same manner. And go ahead.
I think there's gonna be, because see, like, there's kids that's growing up. Some of these kids are still very much divided from, what we say is regular kids. So, like, they go and they live in a mindset that, some people deserve to be more protected, or that they just really are just become accustomed to getting a certain level of protection, whereas other people who live outside of their community, they don't get to fully grasp, that, other people are going through the same kind of stuff, but they don't get treated the same way that they get treated. So, by not understanding that, there's people who actually went through a Holocaust, and potentially we could say is still going through the latter ends of their Holocaust, that gets, don't have the same protections that they had, even though their Holocaust only lasted a few years and others lasted centuries. So, it's.
Let me read Doc's comments. Doc says, at what time have I ever advocated lying? I have specifically said do not. You guys collectively jumped there, and that is a perfect example why it's difficult to develop a universal education program. My education degree is specialist in childhood development, abnormal behavior, and special education, but I still make more serving tables. And that's what I'm saying about the community and the money not going to the right programs. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I don't want Doc to feel like anybody's jumping on anyone, like, But I think that we do have a duty as adults. We have to decide what's going to be better for the whole. Because like just like the story that we were just talking about, I mean, we have people who have teams of people that barely work well together, but because it was a certain group, they all shut the hell up and went and did what needed to be done in that situation. Which, I mean, it's a good thing that somebody came through and they did what they were supposed to do. But then at the same time, there's people who never get that kind of treatment. So if we're a just society, we can't just be that way for some people and give a shit less about the other people. So I
And
mean,
what's crazy about the Holocaust is because what about the Native American genocide? You know, what about the transatlantic slave trade genocide? You know, and the countless what about the DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo's genocide? You know, I mean, there's a long list of them. I could
and
keep
there's a
going.
bunch of that don't get talked about because the people in power are the ones the current power is the ones who created a lot of these issues that we're dealing with today. And instead of taking it head on and accepting that these things were not good, and that they can demonize a certain group of people and they can uplift others and act as if they are better than the another group. Everybody's experiencing hardships, and if we don't tell the truth about all of them, we're robbing our children of being able to become the just society that we all wish we could live in now. Like we're all suffering. I don't care who you are. I mean, even the people who getting protected at the highest levels right now are still being robbed because they're they're living in a falsehood that and can't really see that there's other people who deserve the same things that they receive. Like
Right. There's good and bad points to every parts. And yes, everybody is suffering. That's what I say. In Babylon, everybody suffers. So even them, because then they feel attacked, right? They feel people are pointing them out and putting them to the side and like, oh, it's their fault. Everybody wants to blame them and stuff. You know what I mean? So but look at what you've done. Look at the position, you know what I'm saying, that you've created to put yourself in. So,
yeah,
of course you're gonna have them coming at you when you've created this situation where you get extra favoritism.
yeah. I mean, overall, I feel like these there's people they're okay with you know because they want to maintain the powers that they have. I may not want to give up the powers that I had if I was in a situation, but I'm clearly, and I think always will be, somebody about truth, because even when I fuck up and I've done something that I may not be proud of, I still have to after at least a period of time, I have to say, okay, you know what, I was wrong, and to free myself of that you know whatever it was I did, I have to accept that I was wrong, and I gotta do better than what I was
And I
doing or what
think
I did.
America has created a culture of, I don't have to admit the customer is always right. Never having to admit when you're sorry, never having to say you're sorry. All of these things, people take them as, I don't have to do no self-reflection. You know what I'm saying? The women are like, I don't have to get a man. I'll just go buy a vibrator. I don't
Yeah.
have to do no self-reflection. To take me for who I am. You know, and that's what we're sold. That's what we're sold by the corporations. I believe it's another way to separate us, but that's our fault. You know what I'm saying? We got to take responsibility for that. And you know,
I mean, some people get it, some people don't. I mean, some people's heart is more on something that really doesn't benefit the whole. I mean, a lot of us are selfish and want to see things, or so used to seeing things the way that they are, to where the people who are like truly suffering, you know continue to get stepped on and used and abused because others don't want to accept or admit their fault and try to make the changes necessary so that we can have a more fair and just society. Like, I mean,
it's simple as that. And it's like the thing is personal accountability. That's what I mean. Like we don't really champion that in our society. We say that we do, but we don't. Just like I said earlier, if you're in a group saying you were the one that made the mess, it's probably not a good idea. You know what I mean? Walking away and pretending it wasn't you, and hopefully everybody won't know who did it because it's a bunch of people around, is the most, you know that's
Yeah.
the best thing to do, or whatever. But that's not the right thing to do, and that's what I'm saying. Our society, personal accountability is not a thing that we really champion.
Yeah, I mean, the person who left the mess, it's more beneficial for them because they get to save face, they get to you know move on and not have to go, like they don't have to go back and clean up like without taking the accountability. You just leave it for somebody else to clean up. So you you know really, like, to really be a true human, because I mean it's really subhuman. If you really want to get down to it, it's subhuman to be a liar. What I'm saying? You're not, you're keeping the universe off balance because you won't be truthful about yourself and the issues that you're causing, the problems that you're causing.
Yeah, and almost like most of the people I know could use some self-reflection. We all could use some self-reflection, and that's why they keep on saying know thyself, so you can be aware of yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, let me read comments. Those were examples, and most of your specific examples are in high school and the first 2 years of college. There is an urban legend that the man who said the customer is always right went out of business 6 years later. I don't know, bro.
Well,
Walmart, Home Depot look like they're doing just fine. Have you heard about the girl suing Drake? He put hot sauce in a used condom and she went to the bathroom and tried to drain it. Oh,
yeah, and she
that's
doesn't
hard.
want. No, I
That's
heard about that, but
that's horrible.
but
Every
no,
time I
but
look at my reflection, I wonder who the hell the old guy in the mirror is. Okay, go ahead.
well, no, yeah. I mean, the thing about it, she wants to be angry with 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 Drake, if this is even a true story, because some people say they doubt that that's even real. But either way, I mean, just following that story, so some people would actually be mad at Drake for protecting himself because, like, obviously, he knows that there's a bunch of women that would love to come up with his baby, but and because he sensed that she would be that type. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't, he wouldn't have worried about it. He would have just threw the condom away and been done. but because he put hot sauce and now she's done burnt herself, she's the deceiving party. You know what I'm saying? She's the one who's actually trying to be deceitful, where they agree to have sex and use a condom to protect from that, but she goes and tries to behind his back find to get this condom and put the you know his try to put his sperm in her for a pregnancy. Like how is this how is this really looked at as being the fault of Drake? You know what I'm saying?
And
I
I've seen situations before where girls do stuff like that, so I know that's a real thing. But I doubt if this story. I don't think this story is real. That story hasn't really made it on my radar. I probably just skipped right past it because like the way the music industry and entertainment industry is now, it's all tied to kind of like these memes on the social media, and they use that as promotions for whatever projects they be working on. So pretty much always all of it be bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
check
So
this out.
what
Let
we
me
have
see.
to do is reverse that.
Let me see. Let's hear what he says.
The conversations that we're exposed to and the things that we believe about ourselves. That's why it's important that we watch what our children are listening to, because the words shape our mindset and our what psychologists call the self-explanatory style. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. That book, The Miseducation of the
Oh, the
Negro,
Negro, absolutely.
that has
Yes.
been my Bible, because
Yeah,
we've
that's
been
strong.
miseducated and still to this very day. So what we have to do is reverse that thinking and help them to begin to get a different vision of themselves, different than what the school system is giving them with the indoctrination that they have, depriving them of knowledge of who they are and helping them to see themselves as having greatness within them and the ability to achieve greatness and to be able to manifest it in all dimensions of our lives. We can do more than just rap or box or run with a football and a helmet 35 miles an hour. We can do so many other things, and we have to expose our kids to those things so they can say, that's me.
Woo! Let's Brian. That was a word this morning.
You know what? I want to ask a question. Is it only like should only college students or you get into high school when you really deserve to learn the truth about the world that we live in? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
and it should be free anyways. And you want a educated society. And I'm screaming this from the top of my lungs forever. What else would you want to spend the majority of your money on? You want to invest in your people. So you invest in education, you invest in infrastructure to support them in whatever avenues they choose to do, because people are the ones that come up with technology and systems and improvements and all of this shit. But if they are layered with debt, they're on a hamster wheel, they're working 3 jobs, they're not going to create that next fucking thing.
but what about them?
They
What
want
about
these major conglomerates. They want these worldwide corporations to continue to run the show. They do not want no competition. Mash the middle class.
Yeah, but I'm looking at more on a perspective of where our children grow up with embedded integrity. You know what I'm saying? Like if we are always lying to our children, we can't be honest about certain things because maybe they're not ready to hear this yet or whatever. No, I mean, like I said, you don't want to horrify, but at the same time, there's ways and to be tactful on how we're actually teaching our kids how the being and being honest to where they're as it's a common thing. It's like everybody's honest with each other. They don't grow up trying to figure out how to be a liar, to hide things, and be deceitful to others just for their personal gains. Like it's
I want to say in China or Japan, they teach the kids like manners first before anything. And at lunchtime, lunch is a class. And so because they serve each other food, they help to prepare the food, and they also clean up everything and wash the dishes and everything.
yeah. Um, that's I guess one way of coming together on certain things, which I mean I think is a good thing, and maybe that needs to be something that we could adapt to at least to some extent, where shoot.
We're falling so far behind. Like I say, in the global arena, in tech or any sector you want to look at, people from other countries are going to be the executives of a lot of these, because the talent is not coming from here because we're not producing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be up to us to try to implement some of these changes, because none of it happens overnight. But at some point we have to call a spade, and you know we have to be accountable so that we can look to our kids and expect them to be accountable as well. We have to set the examples of where we really want to be, or where we're trying to go with this country, instead of letting everything just kind of end up where it may.
Yeah, man, give a fuck. And
Give a
so
fuck.
the money needs to go towards that. And instead, like we was just showing in the video earlier, the dude ran for governor and he won, and he was talking about reallocating more funds away from the public schools and into charter schools, and also restricting how you teach history.
Yeah.
Basically, that CRT thing I think it came out for this. It came out for them to use this and use it in this way, and it's going to be a political wave for like the next 4 years at least.
It was definitely it was purposefully uh, you know brought up for political uses, and I guess it's always been um, situations like this where these things are made political, where it should be just something that we're actually, because I mean the term, like even like I said, we've talked about this before. The terms of CRT is uh is very ridiculous. It's meant to
Confused.
to trigger
Yeah. Trigger
certain
is a better word. Yes.
yeah, for the people. I mean, there's a lot of people who still don't really understand the whole idea of what critical race theory is. You know, they're also confused because it's like you know some people are like, so what's the big deal? Like, history is history, or you know, I don't. I don't know. It's really insane.
And the only way you could understand what's going on now in the world, how could you possibly understand what's going on now? And if your predictions of the future should have any accuracy to it, you're gonna have to have a good idea of what the fuck actually fucking happened before.
Yeah, without any sugarcoating, you know.
And I was saying it before, in the military, they tend to teach good history to you in the military. They'll make you take those classes and shit, and they'll teach you the real deal of what the fuck happened. Because they want the soldiers to understand certain things.
That civilians don't.
Because it's motivational or whatever. It helps them, work
Get
their
into the
way through
right.
what.
It helps them get into the right mindset of what the purpose of their involvement can make. So
The overall big picture of it.
yeah.
So that's the problem. We don't have perspective. We can't see the overall big picture because we haven't been taught the proper history. So we haven't been given the proper context.
And every generation, like it seems like every few years or whatever, like the anti-government ideas have grown more and more over the years because of what they're allowed to do, how they're able to affect everyday people with whatever agendas they have come up with, which people are steadily just gonna you know rebuke a lot of things that government has to say. Like I wish I knew the exact numbers, the stats on the like people that that 100% believe in what the government says, and those who think that they're just complete liars. I mean, wish we could really give us full stats on that so that people can realize that no, like we have no trust, we have no trust in our country. What kind of relationship is that? These are people that's
Docs,
false. These are
let me
people that
read. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Let me read Dr. Cummings. Wow, you guys went right back to all about lying. Staged information happens in every culture. You even learn speech before literacy yourself. It is the same thing. You can teach someone about many of the specifics until they have vocabulary and mental emotional development to grasp it. And even more important, it has to be measured by the lowest common denominator, not the highest, but then you allow the faster students to run with it and find ways to communicate the lesson. Damn. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because my screen went black.
Oh wow.
But anyways, yeah, so
I don't know how to satisfy the situation because I guess I believe what I believe, and that
well, I think
honesty is possible.
I think what Doc's argument is fair, but I think that what I'm saying is they can take it earlier. They can understand it earlier. You're saying they need to have the mental emotional development to grasp it, and I'm saying they already do, because you're saying fourth graders shouldn't be taught this stuff, and I'm saying they should.
Well, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that some of our kids have these emotional issues is because they know that we're lying to them. Like a lot of the issues that we are seeing with our kids is because we have a problem with being honest. Like we are the problem we're causing the problems that we're seeing with our kids, and thinking like they're like, damn, I mean, why won't they just say it? Like, why won't what I'm saying? Like they're waiting for us to be adults. Like the kids are more accepting of these things because they're like, hey, it is what it is. And because we have a problem, maybe there's a lot of good intention from people who are, think they're protecting their kids by not saying this or saying that or whatever, but we're causing more of the problems because we won't face the truths of our mistakes.
Yeah. Go ahead and keep talking for a moment. I'm gonna refresh my screen, bro.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we can make a big, I really feel that we could make a bigger difference for our country, for our futures. Like we could really grow as human beings if we would just face our faults, the truths, and like for anybody, I mean, in order for growth to happen, we have to accept the truth. There's adults now today that don't get the understanding or have the full understanding because they were neglected and with information that was very vital for them to be able to process the world as it really is, that the rest of the world, you know they're being taught some of these very things about our country that they can see it from a different perspective than we can, and this is our country. Like you know you like there's a problem there. Like we're the incompetent ones because we don't get to see ourselves for who we really are, and which never allows us to be what we really can be.
Doc says, I have been absolutely clear with it being honest. It's like painting a picture. Broad background strokes first, then address the details as the picture develops. Well, look, I want to make sure we cover this topic. Something's wrong with my screen. I don't know why I can't see myself, but y'all can hear me, right?
I see you and I hear you.
Okay. I can't see myself. So I don't know, that's weird.
You're here, and like I'm looking at your lips move as you speak. So I mean, I don't see any delay or anything.
Yeah. Well, on my end, I think it came back. Weird. Well, I want to show this because this is the other topic I wanted to make sure we covered, and it's so freaking random, but it's kind of connected to all we was talking about: homeless, mental health, politicians. This dude was a cop already. I think he was a subway cop too. The dude that became mayor. Man, he really shouldn't have won that election. He was telling parents to check their kids' bags for guns.
Going on, you'll hear from Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell, followed by Mayor Adams, followed by Jana Lieber, chairman of the MTA. We also have Chief Jason Wilcox from the Detective Bureau, who will be able to answer some limited questions about the investigation, and Chief Kathy O'Reilly, Chief of the Transit Bureau. So, Police Commissioner Sewell.
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. I'm Police Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell. Joining me today is the Mayor, Eric Adams, Jana Lieber from the MTA, Edward Caban, First Deputy Commissioner, Kathleen O'Reilly, my Chief of Transit, and Assistant Chief Jason Wilcox of the Detective Bureau. I want to remind you that this information is preliminary. This case is ongoing. Earlier today at approximately 9:30 in the morning, uniformed officers who were patrolling the mezzanine area of the 42nd Street Times Square train station were alerted by train passengers that a male had just pushed a woman onto the southbound Q train tracks. Upon arrival at the scene, officers discovered a female under the train with severe trauma to her body. EMS responded and pronounced the victim deceased at scene. An investigation revealed that a woman was standing on the southbound RQ train platform when she was suddenly pushed onto the train tracks as she was standing waiting for the train. This incident was unprovoked and the victim does not appear to have had any interaction with the subject. After the incident, the subject fled the scene but turned himself into Transit District 2 a short time later. The identity of the deceased is being withheld pending proper notification to her family. What I can provide to you now is that she is a 40-year-old female who is a New York City resident. This was a senseless, absolutely senseless act of violence. Our investigators are actively investigating this crime, and our uniformed officers will remain vigilant throughout the subway system. I'll turn it over to Mayor Adams for his comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. A life is lost in the city. A woman lost her life due to a senseless act of violence. And when you look at this incident, it really highlights why the commissioner and I rolled out a very significant plan of dealing with, one, crime in our system, but also the mental health crises that we are facing. The chief of transit police actively implemented that plan, and we're going to continue to grow that plan. But we need help from the outside as well. There is a law called Kendra's Law. Far too often, our judges are reluctant to institute that law. Those who cannot take care of themselves being obligated to receive the proper medical treatment that they need so we won't create a dangerous environment. We want to continue to highlight that, how imperative it is that people receive the right mental health services, particularly on our subway system. To lose a New Yorker in this fashion would only continue to elevate the fears of individuals not using our subway system. Our recovery is dependent on the public safety in this city and in this subway system. We can do that with the right balance, a balance of safety and a balance of proactively giving people the assistance they need when they're in mental health crisis. We're going to do our part, but we're asking all of our partners to join us in ensuring that we can have a safe subway system.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. I know that's kind of it's hard to listen to that guy. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. So did y'all hear the story though? The guy pushed the chick in front of the train right before the train came, like for no reason at all. And that's why they're talking about mental health, and that's why they're talking about homeless. He may have been homeless, mental health on the subway, randomly pushes some lady in front of the train. And my point of this subject is, you know, we have to take care of the community as a whole for all of our safety. You know, so neglecting the people's mental health and having them roaming around the streets leads to situations where they randomly push people in front of trains. So I agree with what the mayor was saying about increasing money in that direction, in that area of trying to deal with the mental health situations and the homeless. Because how are you going to deal with the mental health without dealing with the homeless? How are you going to deal with the homeless without dealing with the mental health? Anybody there? I done put all y'all to sleep with my boring shit.
Your boring shit.
My boring shit. So what did you think of? What do you think of that? The lady getting pushed in front of the train, New York City, and then they're saying it being a homeless guy, possibly a homeless mental health situation. What do you think about that?
Wait a minute. I don't. The burning.
No, the guy a guy possibly a homeless guy who was maybe having a mental health episode. Um, um, pushed this lady in front of the train right before the train came. She died.
That's fucked up. I mean, there's nothing good about that at all. I mean, whether he was having an episode or not. I mean, that's just.
So, but what I'm saying is we need to do a better job of taking care of the community. And you see how not taking care of the community comes and bites you in the ass and comes and falls in your lap. Not caring, being not caring can get you end up pushed in front of the damn train, because that's what I'm saying. It could have been anybody, but because we don't care about the homeless and the people who are struggling with mental health, then that's the reason why we got these problems.
They may end up not caring so much about us, you know. Because like I said, it could have been solely um a mental health thing. Oh, maybe that's an excuse. Because I mean, potentially, we don't know the full context of what happened between that, or potentially what happened between him and this lady. Like he might have, he's homeless or whatever. He asked for some money, and she was like, "Fuck you, get a job, get away from me." Yeah. And then he decided, like,
The source, the preliminary witnesses said that they didn't have no words before it. There was no contact, didn't know each other, never had any words.
Yeah.
He just randomly did that shit.
And maybe not that day. Maybe they didn't have that encounter that day. I mean, because that's the thing. Like, it's so many things that happen that we might forget and be like, "Oh, it's no big
Right.
deal."
Looking over someone, ignoring them in a certain way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at possibilities. I mean, maybe the lady never did anything to anybody. I don't know. But like, I look at some of the possibilities because, like, you know, like we really don't know what may have transpired with them before. A lot of people who are on a train ride a train every day. This guy, like, they may encounter each other more often than we know, because I mean, there's people that we're around, like, especially you living in a city that y'all pass each other, but y'all never really recognize each other, but y'all pass each other every day. You know what I'm saying? That's happens everywhere in life. You just, like I said, we don't know what potentially could have happened before.
So, and I always ask the question, why is this a story too? Because, things like this do happen. Doc says it happens more than we hear. It's just conveniently distracting so he doesn't have to talk. All the gang, street murders, and other crimes up over 200%.
Yeah.
I think we got to look at the state of the world, the pressures of COVID, the pressures of three people, working three jobs, having roommates and shit so they can pay their bills and be able to live decently. We need to think about that. If every time you mention crime, you have to mention poverty. You know what I'm saying? Majority of the crime is motivated from poverty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, if we conveniently forget that there's causes and effects to every situation, regardless of how it might be seen in that moment, there's cause and effect.
Yep. I think that was all the stuff. Let me double check and make sure I'm covering everything I wanted to cover today. We did New York City Mayor, we did the governor, we did the hostages, DIA, arrested DA informant who financed Haiti assassination, homeless. Oh, the winter storm. I got a clip on that.
Okay.
A little bit on that. Let's do that right quick because I mentioned that in the title. Want to make sure I cover everything before we wrap it. It's only like 2 minutes, y'all. I ain't even gonna play the whole thing.
We turn now to the major winter storm sweeping across the country. More than 100 million people on alert. Residents from the south into the northeast bracing for dangerous weather conditions, heavy snow, freezing rain, along with strong wind gusts that could bring down power lines. Georgia and surrounding states are getting ready. Officials urging against travel tomorrow and into Monday. That system has already brought more than a foot of snow in parts of Iowa, as several governors are now declaring states of emergency. ABC's Elwin Lopez is in Charlotte tonight.
Tonight, a dangerous winter storm on the move, putting more than 100 million people on alert. The system already pummeling parts of the Midwest with more than a foot of snow, sending cars sliding off roads, now taking aim at the southeast, threatening the region with damaging and even crippling ice and snow.
This storm's a menace.
At least 4 governors declaring states of emergency. Here in the Carolinas, crews are pouring in from out of state as they brace for widespread power outages that could last days. Duke Energy, the largest utility provider here, now estimating as many as 750,000 customers may be impacted.
We hope it's not that bad, but when we look at history, we think it could be that bad, especially with the wind and the ice and the sleet.
And in nearby Tennessee, shoppers racing to stock up on food and other supplies, clearing out shelves.
Getting some groceries, some supplies before it gets bad and we get snowed in.
Road crews working around the clock, gearing up ahead of tonight. That winter blast already grounding flights for tomorrow. At least 2,000 nationwide, including more than 1,000 here in Charlotte.
And Elwin Lopez back with us now from Charlotte at a staging area for the largest utility provider there. We know power outages a huge concern tonight. And Elwin, resources from other parts of the country are pouring in to help out as they brace for this storm.
That's right, Whit. Hundreds of these trucks are fueling up to make sure they can roll out as soon as the storm passes. And of the 10,000 responding, 4,000 came from other states as far as Texas and Oklahoma. Whit.
All right, you there?
Yeah,
Y'all there? Yeah, so what you think about, and let me read Doc's comment. He says, most of the criminals I knew didn't do it because they couldn't work. It's because it was easy money and exciting. So, and this the storm. So what about electricity? How does that affect you? You know, how do you deal with that? Like, you know what I'm saying? What ways would that affect you if the electricity went down in the area you was driving through?
It probably wouldn't affect me so much unless I'm trying to get fuel, because it does give a setback if you know. Damn, I'm kind of in and out. I'm getting a little weary. I apologize.
It's 4 a.m. It's all good, bro.
What it probably, like I said,
I'm gonna wrap it soon.
Yeah, it wouldn't really affect me so much, you know, unless I'm trying to get, you know, fuel or something from a truck stop. But for the most part, you know, it won't be that big of an issue. Because I mean, I got, you know, my truck. I mean, it's running off of it runs off of more than, you know, it doesn't need electricity for my truck to run. So like I said, I can cook. I can, you know, do like all kinds of stuff in my truck that it really, it was just everything else would just be considered outside.
So basically, it wouldn't affect you too much, other than like having to get gas or maybe some traffic lights.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm low on my fluids, so water and this, that, and the other, they shut down a store because of lights and stuff. Yeah, stuff like that might affect me, but
Let me read this, bro, because it's how the universe works. It's kind of looks like, it seems like this is related to what we were talking about. It says, without knowing yourself, without knowing your own way of thinking and why you think certain things, without knowing the background of your conditioning and why you have certain beliefs about art and religion, about your country and your neighbor, and about yourself, how can you think truly about anything? Without knowing your background, without knowing the substance of your thought and whence it comes, surely your search is utterly futile. Your action has no meaning, has it?
that's
And
very
look, the next page says the revolution will be telepathic.
Oh wow.
If you feel like you don't fit in to this world, it's because you are here to help create a new one. That first one was really good. There's a bunch of these though. I'm not gonna read all these shits. That first one was really good because it
Yeah.
seems like it was related to what we're talking about. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read it one more time. Without knowing yourself, without knowing your own way of thinking and why you think certain things, without knowing the background of your conditioning and why you have certain beliefs about art and religion, about your country and your neighbor, and about yourself, and how can you think truly about anything without knowing your background, without knowing the substance of your thought, of whence it comes? Surely your search is utterly futile. Your action has no meaning. I don't agree with all of that, but there's good stuff in there.
Well,
And perspective, right? We talk about perspective all the time on the show. And when people say they know, that is my problem, because you don't know. Like, most likely you don't know. You don't know. Whatever it is you think you don't know. You need to learn more about it. You know what I'm saying? So the perspective, we forget that we're just looking through our eyes, and we have our limited senses and our limited media, you
yeah.
know, to
And that's, I think that's more when we're looking at the majority, uh, the masses, let me say the masses, the you know the 85% of people, and based on what they've been exposed to, they feel like they know, um you know what's really going on, and they're making a sound judgment, but it's such a small percent of people who actually can see it from those different angles, because they have exercised those their thoughts, and see it from different viewpoints. A lot of people are not doing that to where they can truly look at how you know they're being affected themselves, or even how others are being affected based on what they're able to see what's happening real time. But um I don't know, I mean, everything is mind. We're all connected based on that one central brain of the universe. And maybe certain parts of some of us maybe are meant to be oblivious to certain things. Yeah, you know if every like, there would be nothing to fix if everybody looked at it, what I'm saying, like maybe we do. If they were looking at all the different perspectives and saw, they could see the light of everything, from and even from different points of view, like the world wouldn't be exciting enough to live, or even us doing this podcast to get people more into, maybe out, local politics, or just to actually make changes in the world that, you know, will make it a better place. So, us, push, like, I don't know. I mean, we have to, that's another perspective in which, I guess we have to look at it that everybody is not going to be us, or, we can't be everybody. We can, we're
Right.
missing, you know what I'm saying? So
But
it's,
everything's contagious, and that's what I always be saying, So you just spread, you put out the good energy, because when you walk into a room, like you have an impact on the room. That's what I want to make people really understand, is that they have power, because the corporations want to continue to tell you that you don't. But simple facts of the matter of you just looking around, you can see it. When you walk into a room and you affect that room. Like, let's say you are in a sad mood when you walk into the room, and now you've made the room a little more sad, like, or whatever. You come in there all happy, you've made the room a little more happy. It spreads around. It's contagious.
very
Like
much so.
the universe is mine, like you said. Can you see this picture on the screen I have? It says 1908 to Apsaraki Native Americans on horseback outside a teepee in the snowy woods of Montana. Um,
What
a
is that
couple of comments. Looks warm is based off the smoke stain. One guy says, real Americans. But why they call them Native American if their land don't have American in it? It will be much better if those tribes still exist there now. Y'all Americans did they so wrong. What that lifestyle now? Don't care if I don't have electricity, want peace. Was there cameras in 1908? Clearly there was, dumbass. What kind of fucking comment is that? Wow, that's such an awesome pick. People these days aren't even close to being as tough as them. Amazing people that got their land taken from them. I'm ashamed of our ancestors and how they treated them. Thanksgiving is a joke. What about teaching this to your fourth graders? Hey, don't you put the year historic pictures without it are senseless. Slow, so bloody cold. Wait, so bloody cool. What material is the teepee covered in? That's snow. But I wonder what they made it out of, huh? Because they probably that shit was probably insulated like a motherfucker. Whatever they used was the best shit, probably, to insulate your shit.
Yeah.
And we probably, that kind of knowledge is so lost, and that's what I be talking about all the time. The knowledge that's lost, the Library of Alexandria. When you destroyed these Native Americans, you destroyed a whole bunch of knowledge. They knew about the local plants. They knew about the herbs. They knew about the. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that they would be able to pass on, or, I mean,
They could help us right now a lot to bring back balance to the way we do shit, so that we can be self-sustaining, and we can preserve all this shit that we're freaking
well,
destroying.
well, there's so many people that really, like, even today, that knows how a lot of those things work right here, right now, today. But because of, our distorted views of, because I mean, like, pharmacopoeia, using, instead of using natural, holistic things, we've become accustomed to thinking that these chemicals and these different things that's being constructed in labs is better than what God created for us, and it's a form of insanity to think that You know, because I mean, some of these things that are put together, you know, I guess in labs may be able to help just as good, or some maybe even sometimes better than you know, the natural medicine, but that's rare. I mean, we don't realize, you know, shit, just the fact of eating right, where you don't even need any kind of any type of medicine might be a better solution. But either way, it's
And the vibration, the spirit, the energy, the love. We leaving out all of these parts
yeah,
of
the mind.
healing.
This was something I was talking about earlier with one of my friends. Is that like, you know, we forget sometimes that like how well placebo works. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's your mind that you know you've allowed your mind to believe something is gonna be so awesome or so great for you that you can, you know, a sugar pill will end up making you feel better than something that was, you know, may have been, you know, a different solution. But it's all in your mind. Like I said, mind over matter. So if you're in pain, you want your doctor to give you a prescription for some strong pain medicine, but you still, but instead of them giving you that strong pain medicine, they give you a prescription of sugar pills, and for whatever reason, you start
It
feeling better.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because of, you know, how you have trained your brain.
And that's why they have to do double blind studies. You know, when they say double blind studies, it means even the doctors and nurses involved in the study don't even know if they're giving out the placebo or not.
Yep.
Because they did studies and realized that it impacts even them knowing has an impact. Check this post out. I posted on Instagram. It's like in Spider-Man 2002, Peter has a radioactive spider bite the size of a golf ball, but instead of going to the doctor, he decides to sleep it off. This is because Peter lives in America.
Strong.
Because our healthcare system is trash. And we need to admit that shit and then deal with it. We can't even get to the point to acknowledge the reality of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's very scary that, you know, it is, that's how it really is. But
So what do you do?
what do you do?
What's the answer? I don't know. I don't know. Doc post is being ready by creating a beer virus worth the cost of the beer virus getting released into the public. To be or not to be?
That is the question. I mean,
I think they want to make money, and we got to be careful when we talk about this. But I mean, a lot of information has come out about what happened in the lab, and so people got sick, and they didn't know. Didn't take it as a big deal. They didn't know what the hell. And so the question is, was that an accident or not? Someone died. One of the people who got sick, at least one of them that was in the lab, they passed away. So you know, and then so like if you say it was on purpose, then that shows that these people don't even care about the people who be working in the labs and shit. You know, and that's dangerous. That's scary because at some point, executives gonna come to the labs. You know, These are upper class people. So that's what makes me wonder about that. I wonder about that. So, but about it being on purpose or an accident. But before you can even, if you go before that, you have to ask the question, why are they even dabbling in this type of research in the first place? This type of stuff that can be dangerous enough to escape a lab and cause a whole fucking pandemic. And if you are working on some shit like that, you should be way underground some goddamn where. Some kind of fucking way with all kinds of protocols where there ain't no way that shit can get out. Y'all feel me?
Yeah.
So, but look, the kicker with this is the reason why these companies go over there to China to do these kind of research is because they couldn't do it over here. The regulations are lower there in China, so they can get away with more, because they wouldn't let them do that shit over here.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they would let them do it, but I'm almost thinking. I'm just thinking that it's more the competence of the people to get what they want to get done because,
well, it was an American company who was doing that shit, and they decided to do it at that lab in China. The doctor that leaked it was the only victim of it in a Chinese hospital. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. I knew it was at least one person who died. And but damn, was it an accident? Was it on purpose? The shit became a pandemic. Why were they even? Okay, the research was they was trying to figure out, because see, this particular virus or whatever originally shouldn't have been able to move from species to species. It wasn't supposed to be able to infect humans. But with the experiments that they were doing, they modified this fucking thing and made it so that it could infect humans.
Exactly. I didn't know that you realized that. I've been doing a lot of studying on it. That this eventually was,
I knew this way back in the day because I went head off deep in that shit, because about in January, I want to say, because the thing happened in what was it? November, December is when the shit happened in the Wuhan lab. And then I want to say January, February is when we started to get really good information about what happened because people were leaking it. And so, like I say, way back then, I knew about this, what I'm talking about now. And I've been careful about talking about this kind of stuff, but I think that time has passed now. So I think it's softer now. But I was kind of scared to even say the words that I've said already.
Now they've been discussing this in Congress, private meetings and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So it's out there more and more. If you watch Forbes,
yeah, I do.
Yeah, the Forbes news on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of that. See a lot of those things that you're not going to see on regular news.
Yeah, I say look for independent media anyway. Other people like me, so to get your fucking news from, because it's probably going to be better than whatever you get from MSNBC, Fox, CNN, whatever the fuck. They reading a damn script, and then they don't give a damn about you. They're getting paid a big ass fucking check. Why would they tell you the truth?
Yeah, a lot of them are just actors, performers. They go and do their part, and then they move on, and they go home to their families with a nice check. They're just doing what they're told. A lot of them are just actors.
And taking care of their family and friends and family, just like the politicians. Almost the same. That's why it's easy. Like, them people get along with each other. And like I say, their kids all go to the same schools with each other. Like the big news anchors, the politicians, and the CEOs and CFOs of these big corporations. All their kids go to the same schools. They're cool with each other.
They're getting trained to deal they're getting trained how to deal with us from afar, from a young age, and it's a
Totally
ongoing
different
cycle.
way of thinking. Totally
Yeah.
different perspective. Totally different way of thinking. And that's where people will like be saying. People say they know, they don't know. You think you know that from the perspective of, I didn't know Nancy Pelosi's dad was like the king of some York or some shit. Like the thing is, all of these people, their parents were somebody like. Oh, and I just saw a video. What the hell? What the hell is that nigga name? The nigga who did Ant-Man. I think he did Ant-Man. What's that dude's name? White actor.
Oh shit! I can't. Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I
And
can't
he
think of
did
his
a
name.
horrible Batman. He did Batman one time. It was so terrible. Like, he's really not a very good actor. And he's really not very good. And the thing is, I saw when he was a kid, I saw he was doing like a PBS show for kids, documentary type thing. So like I said, how the hell did he land all that shit? And so that's already connected, is what I'm saying. And that's what happens with all of these people like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, uh, uh, on the other side, Mitch McConnell. All of these people, if you look at their parents, they was somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was important and in charge, and like, because what you were saying was they're trained people how to, rule us basically.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm missing some comments on Doc. I don't know, when did I stop? The doctor that leaked it was the only victim. They are a developing nation according to the UN, so they have fewer restrictions as first world countries as well. That's what I was saying. They killed his ass for leaking the origin and the genetic makeup of the virus. I can believe that, because you always kill the assassin. You assassinate the assassin. Nobody can talk. Ain't nobody talking after that. They talking to the fishes. It's public knowledge now. Even CNN covered the Wuhan leaks. Yeah. So these viruses are what they are going to use to get the guys that hold out in the hills and resist when the Red Dawn are asked. Ooh, that's dun dun
Pretty dark.
dun.
Yeah, that's kind of dark right there.
Paul Rudd did Ant-Man, never Batman. So I'm probably thinking of the wrong guy. I can't think of his name anyways. It doesn't matter. The point is, the nigga don't have no talent really, and he's in all these blockbuster fucking movies and have been in shit since he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody get this thing handed to them. What I'm saying is, there's certain groups of people who, like, we have a class structure. They keep the elite and they keep the poor. You know what I'm saying? And they don't really want anybody to move, even though they sell us this idea of the American dream. They don't want you to move. You're never really gonna move. And even when you think that you are, they're still gonna look at you as not, because they're gonna say, because how they designate it is by your parents and who you were born by. You can go ahead and make a whole bunch of money in this life, you know what I'm saying, coming from parents that they don't feel was in the crowd of elite. And then you can think that you can even be in them circles with them, but they don't not see you as one of them.
Yeah.
You're not one of them. That's not how they look at it. It's not about how much money you have.
No. In most cases, they and yeah, you might be able to be around them, but you're still gonna get X'd out of a lot of
You're gonna be
conversations.
some of the events. So you're not gonna be invited to some of the parties. You're gonna miss. They're not gonna invite you to it.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're gonna be excluded from certain conversations.
And it's a competition, and it is a competition to them because they do want to be ahead of the game, and they're not gonna inform you the way they're gonna inform their own because of that very scenario. They don't, like.
And this is also not as racial as people would think, because there's multiple ethnicities who have this lineage that they really look at, and it's through the mom side. It comes from the mom, so that's how they look at it. And you can have different ethnicities. These are not just white folks, but they care a lot about your lineage and who your parents were.
Yeah.
And your grandparents, and kind of like your cousins and shit too, because that's how it works. It's all fucking, and that's why a lot of families, you have to understand why people, these people in these groups, you can't marry certain people. Like, you can date these people, but you can't marry them. Your family won't allow you.
Well, no, they can fuck you, but they can't marry you.
Yeah.
Kind of when you look at it from that angle,
Basically,
But
and a lot of times it's a fetish. It's a fetish. These people be like some people are racist and they'll have sex with, it's like it's part of their fetish. Like, it's like a love to hate type of thing. And do rough sex with them and stuff like that, and they really get off to that shit. Doc says you won't, but your kids will be more included. Then there's more. It's generational wealth. It has similar rules to the fraudulent advancement system, very Machiavellian. And that's what I'll be saying all the time. And that's the serfs, the lords, all that shit that's the system that they are, reflecting in the system that we live in today. They really want it to be the same. They really want it to be just like that. With all you serfs out there working in the fields, and your kids can never be nothing but serfs. The lords' kids become lords, and and most likely they can never be. Sometimes the lords can cross over, but most of the time they don't. They stay within that. And then you have the kingdom type people, the ones that's, and their kids are gonna be the kings.
yeah, with the Maria Shriver, I think is a pretty good example of, like, how, like, she's able to kind of go through life without everybody knowing all of her, connections, because she doesn't carry the family name. The because she was a part of the Kennedys, I believe it was, or um I think she's a part of the Kennedy family, but she still has that blood that has power and able to maneuver through different things. But a lot of people don't really recognize her. I mean, of course there's a lot of people that knows who she is, but for others, where you don't have that direct name, recognition, you go under the radar. But her kids are gonna be able to go into different circles that um you know we won't, what I'm saying, we may never get into. Not that I want to be a part of that circle, because I think that we're creating our own circle of power now that others may want to be a part of, when my son gets older, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Those circles. I love this comment, Doc. Surf's up, baby. I will have a happier life with more dignity than they can ever conceive or buy. And I think there is a lot of advantages to kind of like being on the bottom or whatever. I think there's there's some freedoms there that some don't have on the higher end in their life. Like, they don't get to make choices, because just like we was just saying about who you can marry, um, other things, where you can, what degree you can do in college, and actually what job you're gonna have, because a lot of times, right, they get given these jobs. You have to work for the company.
yeah. All right, well, look, I love you guys.
About to get out of here, huh? It's 4:30. I'm gonna wrap it too, bro. Thank
Yeah,
you
I
for
gotta.
being here, man.
Yeah, I haven't had a day off yet, and I'm still gotta get up and drive a little more in the morning, and try to get myself protected before this storm hits. So I gotta be ready to go.
Well, get you some rest, man. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it. I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover today. So, and it's getting late. So, you fell off
Yeah, not sure what really happened, but I didn't want to just leave like that.
like
You
that.
know. Yeah.
Like, oh, he left like that.
Yeah, guys, I'll holler at you. You know, just there. Yeah, nah, it wasn't meant to happen like that. Damn, you be having none of this type of stuff show up on my feed.
I've cultivated my Instagram timeline over years.
Okay.
It's taken a good amount of time. And a lot of these people are private. These are private. I've been following these
Go
people
back. Then
to
I
the
just saw
eruption.
something out there. It said the placebo effect or something that it said.
Yeah.
We was just talking. I think this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
placebo effect. Yeah, right there. It's funny how the
What,
universe works, bro. How we be talking about shit and then it just shows up on my timeline. It says the
yeah.
placebo effect is one of the least understood phenomena in modern science, yet it is something that prevails time and time again. It is literal proof that humans have the ability to heal and create outcomes solely based on belief and expectation. If that is true, imagine how much more we would be capable of if we learned how to tap into this way of being on a regular basis. Dun
Yeah,
dun dun.
there's a lot of people that, like even with COVID, like there's people who's just like, oh shit, I can't get sick. I mean, that shit ain't gonna, and they believe it. And shit, these are some of the people who, they might, you never know, like they might have even encountered people with COVID because of their mindset that this thing can't get to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Your connection with the universe and how you interact with it, your beliefs are, can set you free. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I wish that was something that I could do in any situation, but just like most humans, we do allow certain things to put us in fear and subject ourselves even more because we've opened ourselves up to certain things that we might be able to protect ourselves from totally.
And the whole healthcare system is fucked up, and it's because we left out the heart part and we left out the vibration part. You know what I'm saying? And like I was saying, I think that you should have a relationship with your doctor from the time that you're a baby. And if you do, then you trust him more. And when he prescribes you something and he tells you this is going to make you feel better, you're going to more likely believe it. And then maybe it more likely works. And the thing is, the thing with the rain dance and the vibrations and the stuff that the natives do when people are sick and give them soup and stuff like that, this is stuff that needs to be implemented into our healthcare system. We need to stop denying this stuff that it works because it works.
Yeah.
Doc says, reminder, Generation Warfare Wiki. Follow the links to 4th and 5th Generation Warfare. We are in one right now.
Yeah. Yep. We've been in one for a few decades already. And it's the same war. But I was just gonna speak to, like, you got to really be careful about that doctor, because based on his beliefs, and that's what he's training you to believe, that oh, you better be careful with this. Oh yeah, you should definitely take a shot for that.
That's why it's got to be somebody you trust. Somebody that's basically a fucking family member. Like, and that's how they did it back in the days. You inherited your father's doctor.
if it was a family member or something that carries the same kind of spiritual presence that you have, yeah, you're probably a lot better off. But I mean, there's some doctors, I mean, that you could believe in that is gonna still guide you towards fear, or things that's gonna take you away from nature. You know what I'm saying? So that just the idea of belief is not necessarily the stronghold.
Right. You got to have some science backing up. Doc says it's the secret. Quantum physics, the combined power of all mankind's belief, become an energy field that we can draw on and use to manipulate our world. We are created in God's image as a spiritual being connected to the universe. The meat sack is just the shell. We are the power.
Yeah.
Well said, Doc.
Yep, well said. And I think we can end on that. That's
perfect.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Peace and love. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for your time. Thank y'all for commenting. Thank y'all for liking and sharing and subscribing and telling your friends.
Yeah. Thank y'all for everything. Getting our viewership up. I think our viewership will be growing a lot more in the near future. So we thank y'all in advance.
Yeah.
Come and join the club.
Yep. Come join the conversation. Come chat with me and Pat.
Yeah.
Wow, that could be the name of a show. All right, man. Get some rest, man.
All right, bro. I'm gonna holler.
All right. Peace and love.
Yep.
Because I thought you would have, maybe.
Yeah. Woke up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why is it? No.
Choose your destiny.
You're not ugly.
I looked weird. Deformed.
What's up, man? I'm hearing y'all niggas over here talk. I was listening to that shit, man. I'm hearing these niggas. I'm like, God damn, man.
Yeah, the narrative.
Dime qué tú quieres, papi.